They call you the Alex Hormozi of the UK.
We both started in the same business mastermind about 10 years ago.
Oh, no way.
If everything I had just burned down tomorrow, I could literally walk out of here and I could pick up 20 clients for personal training by lunchtime. Biggest change for me the last 3 months is I've gone full carnivore. Like, a lot of 8-figure companies are absolute piles of shit.
They're burning money, actually. The following is a conversation with Justin Devonshire. He's a business owner, gym owner, fitness entrepreneur, and mogul of the fitness gym industry. In fact, a lot of the gyms in and around the UK are either owned by him, owned by one of his franchises, or being consulted by him. And I finally got him on this podcast because part of the reason why I have this podcast is because I want to get thinkers, geniuses, online coaches, and entrepreneurs together here to inspire you on your journey of becoming a digital coach and consultant and or scaling your existing digital coach or consulting business. So without any further ado, let's crack right into it.
I've got like 100 podcast episodes of mine, but I do them all in my car.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You do podcasts in your car?
Yeah, I used to. I stopped after a while, but...
just with your laptop open?
Just with my freaking wire headphones back in the day.
Oh, no way.
When I used to drive, I used to live in Aphrodite Hills.
Yeah.
You know, on the other side, so I drive to Paphos like every day, 20 minutes, and I would just record, just blab something in the car, and I did like 100 episodes like that.
Dude, like who was this Deadmau5 who did the coffee runs in his Lambo? Have you ever seen that?
Deadmau5, the DJ.
Yeah, well, I think it was Deadmau5. He had like coffee runs with Deadmau5, and he was just like in the Lambo, and he had a guest sitting next to him, and they would just go grab coffee and just ramble with like a GoPro or something like that, and like a lav mic or something. That would be a sick idea. You know, we should do it in the Mazda that we have over there, like the little Japanese Mazda car. It's a Mitsubishi, whatever.
It's a step up from the last car you had.
I don't know what the box car. It was literally a carton box on wheels. we took this car. Okay, we're not gonna say where we rented it from, but we took this car to the dunes in Larnaca, and we just did donuts with it and stuff in the sand.
Have you been up to the Akamas?
No.
Region? You know,
have we? Oh, where the buggies thing is.
Someone took a Ferrari up there that they rented.
Ooh.
It was all over Facebook. All the Facebook groups were all, grassing the guy up.
Oh, that's so fun. So he took a rented Ferrari?
An F40 Ferrari and they took it up there.
A rented one, that's bitter, you know?
Yeah.
I would take my own one there, but like a rented one, I was like, come on. So did he do donuts or what?
I don't know, but there's just photos of it parked up there, like covered in shit.
That's the kind of stuff that you do when you just make your first money, like your first whatever $500K, and you're like, ooh, I want to do the Ferrari, like all the stupid stuff that you think makes you happy, and then you're just like, all right, that did nothing. Like I remember when I first rented 2 Lambos, 2 at once. It was really funny. We just started a high-ticket online program for the dating brand, the RSD Max mentoring program. And I don't know, first month was like $300K, first month was like $130K, second month was $300K, and so on and so forth. So we were just making all this money, and I'm like, I want to drive a Lambo, I want to try it out. So I rented 2 Lambos at the same time over like a weekend with like, whatever, 600 extra kilometers or something like that. And total price was like $35K or something. And me and my number one sales guy back then, we just drove them. And it was one Aventador and one Huracan. And we drove them through Austria from Vienna to the Alps and back. And we just had them for 3 days. And I took it to buy groceries, like I had to go to the gym and stuff like that. And then I was in my hometown village, and like there's like all the people from the same generation that are like my age, they all had a WhatsApp group that would still live, all the people that still live in my home village. And then someone posted, oh, look at Max Tornow, he's here with a Lambo, it looks like his business is doing well, And but then also like you drive the Lambo and you're like, whatever.
Yeah,
like,
you've got to get out
now?
of the system though, haven't you?
Exactly.
We did the same thing. Me and my business partner, we bought a Lambo, had it for like 6 months, a couple of years back, and it's so crazy. We would just do our twat laps around Manchester. We call it. Let's go.
Do we need to cut the bad words out? No, we don't. We never do.
It was so crazy. I remember like how triggering it is to people. You literally drive down the city road in Manchester, and you've got literally on one side of the road, bunch of guys and girls, and the guys are like, oh, you've got a small dick, wanker. And on the other side of the road at the exact same time, you get like these young kids come over. They're like, oh, bro, like fucking rev it. They knock on the window. They're like, what do you do for money? And I was like, I buy crypto. They're like, which one? I was like, all of them. But it's like how it just triggers like so much energy from different people, and it's that was like the one thing that stood out to me.
You know, it's a very good metaphor for what happens in general when you're successful. Like, there's people who are like, dude, I always believed in you. You're so cool, such an inspiration. And then you have the polar opposite of just people like, oh, you're an asshole, yada, yada, you think you're something better. And I feel like a lot of people get caught off guard by that because they're like, once I'm successful, everybody will respect me and everybody will like me. But what's actually going to happen is you just become a more polarizing person. Especially with people that build a brand. I mean, you know, coaches, consultants that we build up, they're all like, I feel like some of them kind of see their following as like a surrogate to their mommy and their daddy who may or may not have loved them. So they're like, well, I may not have gotten love when I was a child, but look at all the followers that I have now. And that's cool and all, but what you're doing is you're opening yourself up to kind of to the hate comments, which you will inevitably get, to just really, really have an effect on you. And now you're responding to the haters, aka you're feeding the haters. And now the haters know, like, oh, they get through to you. So now you trigger even more hate. And now you're just downward spiral. And that's where you see a lot of creators actually moving away from providing value and being carefree, which is the things that got them big in the first place, and just getting into this like beef with other creators, just debating their haters and all that stuff. And now you're in a downward spiral because now you're reactive. And that could really mess you up psychologically, but it also hurts your brand massively. So I've seen a lot of haters doing some really bad stuff for me, but I never gave a damn. Because I know, like, the moment you feed into that, that's the moment where it starts going downwards, you know.
That's right. Yeah, it's like you're in that defensive mode for the first time. Then you're you're just trying to retain the validation. You're getting, and I saw that back from the early days. I saw very early on in the early days of like YouTube and stuff when you'd see a Tony Robbins video, and he'd have like some horrendous comments, like some are like, "You've changed my life." The next comment is like, "Tony Robbins hates babies and is a Satanist." And it's like, so, and I just knew from then, I was like, if I'm not getting that kind of hate, I can't be saying anything worthwhile.
I mean, dude, the funniest part ever is when you can literally do this right now. Like, you go to YouTube and you type in Beethoven's Ninth Symphony, right? Like, an undisputed masterpiece. Like, objectively speaking, this is pretty great music, right? Even if you're personally not into it, you can damn respect it. Even on that, you'll get haters. Like, well, what is this? Put on Drake, this sucks. Like, music back then sucked. And that really opens your mind to, like, listen, like, no matter what you do, no matter how good you are, there's just going to be dumb people hating. And also, like, how many of these hate comments are actually serious? How many of the serious hate comments are just there because that person leaving the comment just had a bad day? And they're like, fuck you, Beethoven, you know? So, you know, Joe Rogan always says, like, don't ever read the comments. And it's really funny because on my main Instagram account, the Max Tornow business, where we have like 180-something thousand followers now, I don't ever read the comments. I don't even upload it myself. I create the stuff, I write the stuff, but then my team visuals uploads them. Like, I don't even look at the comments, also because it's so many. And every now and then I do check them like once every 6 months, and there's like some hate stuff in there, and I'm like, geez, that would have really bugged me if I had read it in the first place, you know? So, yeah, man. Anyways, we're getting ahead of ourselves here. Justin, what have you been up to, man? Last time we spoke was 6 months ago-ish.
That's right.
What have you been doing, man?
Yeah, so, I mean, for the audience, I'm an entrepreneur in the coaching space, mentor and investor in different coaching businesses as well. Main thing we've been focusing on is mostly growing a fitness franchise in the UK. So we took it from a gym, like a personal training studio concept. We took from 2 locations at the start of the pandemic. We 10x'd through the pandemic. Nice. We have 30 locations in the UK right now, so it's quite fast growing. And yeah, just navigating the challenges that come with having 30 employees, lockdowns, pandemics, haters, like whatever else. Yeah. And just keeping it all going and looking at the kind of next stages of life now, and looking at the future and new goals, and quite a lot has shifted in the last year or so, which I'm sure we'll get into.
Yeah, hell yeah. I mean, they call you the Alex Hormozi of the UK. Because basically, like, that's what he did in the US.
It's very, me and Alex are a very kind of strange kind of parallel path, because we both started in the same like business mastermind about 10 years ago.
Oh, no way.
And Alex has done considerably fucking more than I have. I'll put it that way. But no, we go back a long way, and it's funny because he started off with his gyms at the time. We both learned from the same mentor.
Who was that? If you're allowed to.
That mentor was Sam Bakhtiar, a guy who built a fitness franchise of 130 locations in the US very early back in the day. He unfortunately died during COVID.
Ooh.
But he was like a mentor, father figure to me, got me going with things. And and so Alex actually at the same time began working for him as an apprentice, I believe. Alex went out then and developed his own concept, built 5 or 6 gyms. I had built a gym in that time, and I actually had sold it, and then got into like just general coaching consulting for other fitness entrepreneurs. And I ended up then getting back into the gyms and building up the gym chain to this day, where Alex sold off his gyms and went into the coaching side. So we kind of like flipped our career paths, and now we still do work with Alex. We went over to his gym launch event last year, so we're we do a bit of work with their team, and still get advice from those guys.
Sick.
So yeah, it's we go back. It's a funny story.
Crazy. It's so funny. Like, it's such a small world. Like, you'd think like, oh, there's like tens of thousands of entrepreneurs all over the world in all kinds of different cities. But then you meet one person, and that knows that person who knows your best friend. It's kind of such a tight knit community. It's so funny, because also like, how did we meet? Who connected us? I can't even remember. Sergio. Yeah. So that's the same thing, right? So Sergio's brother Xenios was at one of my way back in the days, like 2016 or 17, one of my events in London, one of my seminars. Comes up to me, shows me his Instagram account, to get a couple thousand followers on there, and I'm like, oh, wow, you got a little bit of a brand. Let's collab. We collab. Don't meet for years. I moved to Cyprus. He's like, bro, I live in Cyprus. I'm from Cyprus. We hang out again. We do a podcast on the Max Tornow podcast. Spontaneously, his brother was there, Sergio, right? He was spontaneous. And I'm like, yo, let's just do it all 3 together. So then Sergio is on the podcast. Now I'm starting talking to Sergio, and after the podcast, he's like, dude, you should meet my friend Justin. And then we hung out. It's always like, it's so cool. It's like a family, like of like lost cousins, and I really appreciate that,
Yeah,
it's like a beautiful thing, because like everybody kind of knows everybody, and then you get connected, and I've been in my own bubble for so many years, until last year. Like, I would almost say, like, since I left RSD 2019 or 2020. No, it was 2020. Since I left, or 2009, I can't remember. Since I left them, I've just been so much in my bubble, just like, I gotta do the thing. And then like last year, I realized, hold on a second, like where's all the other people? There's all these other epic people out there that are doing really cool shit. And that's why I restarted the podcast with guests on. And my first guest that I had on was, I think, was it Christoph Heuermann, or was it Alex Waller? I think it was Alex Waller in Prague, yeah. And then I'm like, this is really cool. And that's where I started going to networking events, because if Sergio had told me you should meet Justin 2 years ago, I would have just been like, nah, I don't want to meet anyone. Mm-hmm. And now that I do, I just gain so much value from it, and I hopefully also give, Yeah. And that's really nice. But anyways, dude, gyms. You acquire gyms, you sell them. What are the profit margins on a good gym? What are the profit margins of like regular gyms?
So I've used a lot of the principles that you teach, like to experts and coaches over the years, and we have a bit of a hybrid model at the minute. We want to innovate and be different from all the competition. So you can get a regular big gym business, let's say, that's not a coaching business, but it's just an open gym, your big Globo gyms, $20 a month kind of thing. Those things will typically, if they're good, have a 10 to 15% profit margin if you're lucky, with about $1 million or $500,000 setup cost.
Damn, that's so thin though.
Yeah. So what we do though is, what I think a better model of the future is, it's much more of a boutique coaching based approach. I began as a personal trainer, started training groups together, and doing like a bit of a hybrid of like personal training, group training, and even online coaching. Mm-hmm. So at the minute we have a much bigger, our margins per location are going to be, 20% year one, 25 to 28% year two, and then 30 to 35% by year three at full maturity.
Because of word of mouth, or
just because you're going to have bigger costs in the beginning. Mm-hmm. Different to an online business, you have you have to pay a fixed amount for the rent. You're going to add in more payroll as you go on, up to a cap. but then you're still going to fill it with more and more clients. So your profitability just comes the longer you run it for. And so we run a very hybrid model right now, where we have a base of what we call like an online coaching approach, much like Xenios does. So we have our custom built app that the clients can just get their workout on an app, check in with habits. Then we have the extra layer on top is, hey, you can come to the gym and do the workouts with us 3 times a week with a coach. And so it's a bit of a hybrid approach like that allows us to go higher ticket. So our gym memberships, we train groups of maybe like 15 to 20 at a time, and we charge about £200 a month, which is probably about double what the average is in the UK.
I mean, when I hear 10 to 15% profit margins, like if I would look at an online coaching business with 10 to 15% profit margins, I'd be like, something's wrong.
You'd kill yourself.
Basically. Yeah. Like you're like 1 bad week away from just being break even, and 2 bad weeks back to back away from just like having just costs, like losing money. But I guess since you're doing gyms and it's like a recurring subscription model, you just kind of like have to reach that like crucial point where you get enough subscriptions that then foreseeably cover all your expenses.
Yeah, I mean, 35% is it'll be pretty good considering. So I've built online fitness businesses as well, as companies that I've invested in to help them grow, and with a team of 6 or 7 coaches handling like a few hundred to a couple of thousand clients, you're probably looking at 50% margins maybe after tax, then 60% if you're really higher ticket. And there's just different pros and cons to it, I think. So when you got these subscriptions and they all start stacking up, what's your cancellation rate? Because I heard many times in the past of like 80% of the people that sign up for like a yearly membership don't end up going even once to the gym. Yeah. So what's the rate of people being active out of all that pay, and then what's the rate of people then actually canceling after X amount of time? Yeah, so that's the numbers in the typical gym model, partially because the investment's so low. So if you pay 20 quid a month, you don't care anyway, don't value it. For us, they come in, they do a 6-week program, like a 6-week challenge first, which we charge about £600 or about $800 we charge for that. So again, we use a lot of the high ticket, like closing strategies and stuff that you teach to do that. And after that, we will aim to get about 75% of those challenges to jump onto an EFT recurring subscription after that.
What's FT stand for?
EFT.
EFT, what is that?
Like a direct debit, like a monthly.
Oh, okay. So you have their payment on file, and you
electronic. Yeah. We'll card on file, bill you every weekly or monthly, and so we get about 75% from front end into the back end.
Wow.
And then our churn rate, I mean, it varies, but on average, we aim to have maximum 3 to 5% churn month on month.
Damn.
And
that's real good.
Yeah, and what I've learned after several years in the business is, we look at stages of maturity now. So you'll realize that it's more acceptable. The first year of the business, you're probably going to have maybe up to 10% churn rate. One, because maybe the operator, he's newer, hasn't locked down the systems yet, but also because the culture hasn't formed in the gym yet between the clients.
All right.
After 6 months to a year, you've got the veteran clients.
Yeah.
You got the vets,
the
right?
gym dudes that are there at 2 a.m. squatting.
Yeah. Well, you got your lifer clients, the guys who are in, and then you get the newbies coming in, and it's a lot easier to retain them because then the vet clients are like, oh, let me help you out, and we have our ambassador clients who strategically help us retain people. So after the first year, then we should be looking at about a 5% max churn rate month on month.
So these ambassador clients, they get a kickback from the people that they sign up, or how does that work?
Well, some of them we've transformed their lives through the fitness programs at that point, and they just are usually just happy to help out and volunteer a few hours a week.
Sick.
Maybe we'll give them a bit off the membership. We'll give them exclusive hoodies and merchandise with ambassador written on it. Sick. That's usually enough to get the job done.
So, what was I going to ask? So, once this is running, so you got your churn down to 3 to 5%, how much innovation does it take to keep that up? is it basically just like we got it up and running now after a year, now it's just going to run for the next years? Or do you guys constantly have to come up with like new things, like here's the Halloween week now, and now we got this thing and this cool program going on?
Oh, yeah, for sure. So we found, we have a 7-part retention formula we give our franchisees, and we've seen that the biggest drop-off in the fitness industry, and probably I'd argue for other industries too, but we've tracked it in fitness. Biggest reason people cancel memberships is a feeling of indifference. They didn't feel like they really mattered that much after the first 6 weeks.
How did you find that out? Did you send them surveys or something?
That's surveys that have been done in the industry over the last couple of decades. So we go on that, and our experience backs it up. So it's a very unique combination. You've got to help the client. On one hand, you've got to make them feel like they stand out, and you've also got to make them feel like they fit in with the rest of the group. So it goes back to the 6 human needs, right? They've got to have significance, but they've got to have connection. So we try and build the 6 human needs into our retention framework. Biggest things we found, though, is they've got to get the results, first of all. They need to be getting progress. They've got to be getting fitter, getting healthier. Give them a new carrot on a stick. So they've always got a new fitness goal to work towards. Even if they've lost all the weight, you've got to give them like maybe a goal of performing 5 bodyweight pull-ups or doing an Ironman contest or something like that.
Sick.
The other thing then really is social events and the social community. So yeah, we put on events, a social event every 4 to 6 weeks, get the people together outside of the gym and help them form friendships. If any coach does this and brings their clients together outside of the business, when they form community or friends, that's going to be powerful, because in tough economic times, a client can write a gym membership out of their budget, but they can't write their social group out of their budget. So you lock them in for that, and results and experience. That's what it's all about.
That is so genius, man. Do you apply that in online stuff as well?
Yeah, in online you've got to do it 10 times more.
Damn.
When we built our online fitness business, I did with a different partner. He was an influencer, young guy in his 20s, had 100,000 followers on Instagram. He was making $3K a month when he came to me. And I was like, bro, the math ain't mathing. Right? And he was trying to sell like a workout plan or something.
$30 workout plan.
So we did some stuff with him. We took his Instagram up to like 1 million over the next 9 months, mostly organically and through paid shout outs. And then we built a team of coaches for him. So he'd be the most high ticket coach, and we bring his juniors in under him. And yeah, like the main concept I said to that is I hate the word online. I think we should just abolish that word. We tried to make it the least online coaching business there was. So we tried to have as many physical touch contact points with each client as we could at extra expense, which is why maybe our margins were only about 50%, because we would invest more money. When somebody signed up, we'd send them a welcome pack in the mail. Like in our gyms, we have our Transform Hub. Yeah. We have the merch. They get this in the mail. They'll get a mug, a branded mug. We would do phone calls. We wouldn't do Zoom calls. We would actually do a phone, because when you pick up a phone, hey, it's your coach on the phone. Yeah. And people would ask, well, you could do Zoom for free or cheaper, and it just doesn't feel the same. And then we would try to organize real life meetups wherever we could for the clients to get together in their area.
I'm writing this down, by the way.
So for online business, like for physical businesses, we need to get more of an online hybrid component built in for leverage.
Yeah.
For online businesses, I think they need to learn from the physical side. Look at RSD, right? A great example, of, you could call it an online coaching business, but the backbone was all the live events and the physical stuff. And so
true.
I think any kind of physical connection, tangible items, stuff you send out in the mail. I think this is also why these box subscription services have taken off in the last few years.
The Eat Fresh and all this stuff.
You can do it. You can package. There's like sock subscription one. You can put like a piece of shit in a box and send it out. People just love getting the thing in the box.
So true.
From the oversensitivity to just online non-touchable stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, we made a big part of it to be the least online business we could make it.
That is so cool. Because I know my back then partners from Germany, they do that too. They send out like a nice leather binded notebook thingy, but they're only operating in Germany, Austria, Switzerland. And so I'm always like, nah, but we're doing international. Like, you have to find like 16 different shipping services for all the different countries. But ultimately, let's be honest, it's just an excuse of mine. You know what I mean? Because like ultimately, what are you gonna do? Europe and US space. Like most of our clients are Europe or US.
Exactly.
So I could probably pretty easily just find shipping stuff there. Damn it!
And I don't have like exact figures to verify it, but I would say, let's say you sacrifice 10% profits to reinvest in those things, but your LTV, lifetime value, goes up 30%, or your retention goes up 10%.
I mean, the costs are minimal. From like, what does a book like this cost you guys?
Oh, I mean, in
bulk,
bulk,
the mug, like $20.
Yeah,
per,
and the more in
client.
bulk you go, it's much better for referrals. When we give like plastic gift cards out, one of the very first things I did back in the day when I started out as a coach, I had like no money for advertising. There was no Facebook ads back then. I built my first 6-figure coaching business before the days of Facebook ads. And a lot of new entrepreneurs, like, their jaws hit the floor when they hear that. They think I was back like rubbing fucking sticks together to make fire in 2012. But I saw these plastic gift cards, like you get it for like iTunes vouchers or Starbucks gift cards, and you can pick these up for like 70 cents, whereas a regular business card is like 10 cents.
Yeah.
But these plastic ones, and we put like a dollar value on it. And I ordered like 500 of these things, and I would just give it out to people, or give 3 of them to my clients to give to their friends. I'd even put like the black magnetic stripe on the back of it, which did nothing, but it just looked like it was legit. And I'd be like, hey, I've loaded these cards with like $25 for you. Or like they were loaded
to a
with.
Friend.
Yeah.
And then on the front it says your business info, or
yeah, my phone number.
Genius.
I couldn't afford a website back then, but funnels didn't really exist, so I had my number on it and a 2-week free trial. And the cool thing is then, when someone comes in to redeem it, they give you the card back. So I could just recycle that card and get so much value out of it.
Yeah, yeah.
And one pack of like 400 cards, I think, built me a 6-figure business back in the day with that.
It's so funny how it kind of gets easier and easier and easier every single year. People start complaining more and more and more, right? Like, you didn't even have freaking Facebook ads. I mean, 2012, I remember I started my biz in 2011-ish. Then I started taking the social media part seriously in 2014-ish. Dude, Instagram had only a 4x4 photo option. Like a square photo. There was no 16:9 photo. There was no videos. There was no stories. There was no reels. There was none of that. And I loved it. I'm like, this is really freaking cool, right? Or like you did, is like you had no funnel, no nothing, just a damn phone number and cards. And nowadays, the algorithms are so sophisticated that you don't even need followers anymore. I just posted about this on my Twitter the other day, where I just said, like, followers matter zero anymore because the algorithms are sending it out to new people anyways. Like, way back in the days, the way the algorithm worked was you would post something, and then first it would be picked up by your followers, and then if they liked it and shared it, now you could reach new people because the algorithms just weren't as sophisticated anymore yet. Nowadays, though, everybody, when you go on Instagram, you're scrolling through your feed and there's all the people that you follow, but you also have posts in there of accounts that you don't follow. It sprinkled that in. And that's exactly what the algorithm does. So the algorithm is like, hey, Max, you're a 33-year-old male from Austria living in Cyprus. You're into entrepreneurship and watches and Formula 1 and snowboarding. Here's a post that, according to the algorithm, you're going to like. And the algorithms are so good. Like 90% of the posts that just randomly show up, I'm like, ooh, that's sick. Ooh, wow. Now I click follow. Now I'm in the funnel of that account, so to speak. And that stuff wasn't possible in 2013. You had to use hashtags like an idiot, like a complete monkey, like, ooh, hashtag fitness, so the fitness dudes would see it. You don't need any of this anymore. The algorithms do the complete job for you. So it's easier than ever before. Like, like, I've had a client of mine, Babar, he was in the sales niche, and he would legit post his first 5 reels on Instagram, and I think the second reel got over 1 million views.
Wow.
0 followers. Just, this is great. He got pushed by the algorithm. Over 1 million people watched it. I don't know how many thousand followers he got, but like, imagine you're a sales coach. Imagine you know what to do, and you get 1 million eyeballs on your profile. Like, you're gonna convert. Like, if you convert 1% of these people, I know what 1% of a million is like, what, 10,000? It's 10,000, right? So it's like 10,000 people, and then out of these people, you get like whatever 5% on the call. That's still a lot of people. And then out of those, you close 50%. That's a lot of money. And then you have Justin Devonshire there in 2012, like just doing gift cards. You know what I'm saying?
Just knocking on doors and shit.
Yeah, like actually physically going somewhere.
But I always tell people, I think I'm so blessed to have that, because I think that allowed me to build the emotional resiliency that I know the certainty that if everything I had just burned down tomorrow, I could literally walk out of here and I could do a sweep through Paphos town and I could pick up 20 clients for personal training by lunchtime. Because I had to go and literally like knock on doors and get rejected. I would walk into salons and say to like the 5 salon workers, hey guys, like let me be your fit body insurance policy. I would go in there with like, something I learned from you back in the RSD. I followed your stuff back when you were RSD coach, and your videos had a massive impact on my life.
Sick.
So, thank you for that, first of all. But the thing about getting out there and just overcoming rejection, I used it a little bit to pick up chicks, but I actually was using it like in a business sense to not get rejected and go and get deals. So I'd go up to like a hair salon and walk in there. I took your advice. I would just be like congruent with how I feel. Don't try and put a show on. Just be completely honest. I would just go in there. My open line doesn't matter. I'd walk in, say, hey girls, like I'm a personal trainer. I'm flat broke. I've got no money for billboard advertising.
Oh.
So here's what I want to do. We both serve an audience of women that want to look and feel good. You come to my new fitness boot camp. I'll train you guys for half off. I'll be your fit body insurance policy. All you got to do is when the fat is like falling off your body and your clients are asking you in the chair, like, what's your secret? You just tell them about me and maybe give them this little gift card. Does that sound good? And I picked up like 20 salon workers in a week doing that. And then literally had one of them came to me, most of them just didn't refer anyone and dropped off. But then like 5 of them referred a few people.
Yeah.
And then one of them brought a list of like 40 names. She was like a local influencer. She came in, she's like, I've told my 40 friends about you, like you're a great fun fitness coach. They're all ready for you to give them a call and give them a free trial.
Damn.
And and like that's how quick organically things can pick up like that. But you've got to have the resilience to go and talk to people. And I got 20 people. Hear the part where I got 20 salon workers to show up, but they don't hear the fact that 300 people said no or ran away from me because I was a crazy person.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's the shit you got to get through. And then when you have that, when you know you can build all that off your own 2 hands and a bit of game, ads are great. Or Instagram is great, or YouTube is great, but if you lose it, you're like, well, that's okay. I'll make it work anyway. And I think a lot of people, new entrepreneurs, who have been blessed to come into it on the back of this tech, the last 7 years has been the easiest time ever to make money, where you can have a website set up for $99 on ClickFunnels. Yeah. You can have an email service provider, social media, paid ads. That didn't exist 10 years ago. And so the entrepreneurs who've come in the last 10 years, I think, are now being rugged a little bit. Or it feels like they're being rugged when these things, the ads are not as cheap anymore.
Yeah.
They can't figure out the algorithm anymore. They're doing the old stuff on Instagram. They're not keeping up to date with what you're teaching. And I think this, backed up with the kind of the general state of young people anywhere in the world today, I think is going to cause a lot of anxiety.
Yeah.
And a lot of, it's going to shake a lot of entrepreneurs out of the market, I think.
It always does.
They've got to be mentally ready for that and realize that there's old school ways that I think will start to cycle back and make a comeback.
I mean, it's like the barrier of entry is so low that's really easy to start, but then you're gonna run into issues always, and that's where then we always call them like the sunshine weather entrepreneurs. They're doing it when things are easy, and then all of a sudden black swan event hits like COVID, which profited some niches very, very hard and some not at all. Some niches just went down. For example, online fitness coaching like just blew up because everybody wanted to do online, right? And then but some other niches just got burned really hard. But then even if you are in a niche that got burned really hard and you're resilient and you don't expect things to always be easy, those are then the guys and girls that come out on top afterwards. And that the cool thing is, because the market share all of a sudden gets redistributed from all the losers that just give up, now you all this is up for grabs. And now you can much more easily grab market share and just like 2x, 3x, 4x much, much faster. And I mean, dude, I remember, though, because you said like all this awesome tech. I mean, You can take your freaking iPhone and record 4K video. We've had guys on the podcast that just did a 2-hour podcast with their freaking iPhone recording it, and then they would send us the footage. Like, you know what I had to do to shoot videos back in the days? I'll tell you that. It was 2000. So, okay, yeah, I remember. It was 2013 or 14.
Was it the white thing with the red button on the screen?
Yeah, no. No, so it's even better. So it's 2013. I come back from my first 6 months or 3 months. I think it was 3 months. First 3 months, because I was only allowed to stay 90 days in the U.S. at one time to just help out for free, right? So then I had to go back to Austria. And I was there waiting for RSD to email me, because I'm like, hey, guys, I got to go back because 90 days are over. I want to continue this. Please, let's do it. And they're like, yeah, we'll email you. You know, typical RSD, just like, I got swept under the rug. They forgot about me. But at the same time, I couldn't start something new in Austria. I couldn't just get a job, because I'm like, what if they email me and telling me I got to go back tomorrow? So I'm crashing at my friend's place. His name is Andre, pro poker player. He was one of my very first clients that paid me like 130 euros per day teaching him dating. And then we became really good friends, and I'm like, hey, I need a place to crash. I have zero money. I just did 3 months unpaid internship. I had way less money than I had before. I cannot get a job because I'm hoping that I can back like next week. Can I crash on your couch? And he's like, sure. What actually happened, spoiler alert, I think I stayed at his place for like 2 or 3 months instead of just a week. I crashed on his couch. It was really funny because I would literally sleep on his couch. He's a professional poker player online, so he had these 2-3 monitors set up. He would literally wake up in the middle of the night after 2 hours of sleep. He would come out of his bedroom into the living room where my couch was, where I was sleeping on, in his underwear, completely half asleep. He would open the tables, grind it out for like 8 hours, and then is like, the tables are cold now, and just go back to bed for like another 2 hours, get up and check the tables. And he would always have 12 tables at the same time just playing. Complete lunatic, this guy. But he made like 2-3 million a year in profits. Really good. He was top 4 players on PokerStars or something like that. Anyways, I'm there. No money. But I had started building my brand, my RSD, my dating brand. And I'm like, I have momentum now. I don't want to stop that. But I have zero video gear. I have a shitty Microsoft laptop that, you know, like when you boot it up, it takes like 10 minutes until you can click something. That's how slow it was. Let alone can edit videos. Nothing. You can do anything on this other than maybe checking your emails. And I had no camera, but I still wanted to keep up my schedule of posting on YouTube once a week. So what I did was, we had a community of like guys that were into dating in Vienna, and I was just writing in there, like, hey, does anybody have a camera? And then there's one dude who lived on the opposite side of Vienna. He's like, yep, I have a video camera. But I just got a daughter, and I'm like, you know, documenting how she grows up and stuff like that. So I can only give you the video camera for like 2-3 hours a day. And it was like, it wasn't like, there was no iPhones with like 4K video. It was 2013. So the video cameras that you needed to shoot videos for YouTube were these like Sony handy cams, you know? They weren't even DSLR cameras like we have now. It was like a video camera. So they were like shooting like 540p or 720 or whatever, you know? So I would take the metro like 45 minutes to go from one end of Vienna, where I was crashing on my buddy's couch, to getting this guy's camera. I couldn't buy a ticket for the metro, so I was just doing the whole thing illegally, just like hoping I wasn't being controlled. I got the camera, but because he was living in bumfuck nowhere in Vienna, I had to then take the metro back to the center where I had like cool backgrounds where I could shoot. So I would grab the camera, put it on the tripod that he gave me with it. I had this little 19 euro Amazon lav mic that constantly was cutting out. Sometimes I had to reshoot videos 2-3 times because the sound was messed up, because I couldn't even know, right? You could only know when you're home. So I would shoot the video like 2-3 hours. Then I would take 40-minute metro back to give him the camera so he could film his little toddler. Then I would drive 40 minutes to my other friend, because guess what? I didn't have a laptop to edit the freaking videos. But I had a friend who had a good laptop, because his high school, where he would go to high school, he was like freaking 18 or 17. It was like a technical high school, so they had these like really good computers that they needed to use. So I'm like, bro, I need your laptop so I can edit the videos. And he's like, dude, I can't. I have high school exams. I have like high school diploma, like final exams. I needed to study. And you know what I said? Did I say, okay, sorry, thanks though anyways, and I gave up? No, I said, when do you go to bed? And he's like, I go to bed at like 11 and I have to get up at 6 to go to school. I'm like, cool, I'll be there at 10:30. So I would then take the metro to the other end where this guy would live, my friend. I would show up at 10:30 p.m. at night. I would say hi to his mom and his dad because he still lived at home. He would go to bed. He would give me his laptop. I would sit in his family's kitchen on the kitchen table, opening the laptop, editing until 6 a.m. in the morning. My friend would come into the kitchen. He's like, oh, bro, I need to go to school now. I'm like, cool. Save the editing project. Give him the computer. He would go to school. I would then take another 40-minute drive back to my other friend's place to crash on the couch while he would get up 3 times a day / night to do his freaking poker playing. I'll get a couple hours of sleep in, and then again go to my friend and edit, or go to my other friend to pick up the camera to shoot. That's what I had to freaking go through. There was no, let me just take my freaking iPhone camera to selfie film it. No. And now still people are complaining. I have to post.
You know what we need, because of stories like that just shows like you're just willing to get it done. I think we need like entrepreneur boot camps.
Yeah.
I think genuinely, like, people just can't realize guys like me and you are so grateful for this amazing stuff we have. I got my first iPhone 2 years ago. I didn't know what I would do with one before that. And I'm like, I'm always asking my tech team, I'm like, what if we could like build something that would like put, captions under, like, yeah, that's out already. I'm like, really?
yeah.
Wow. Like, this just blows my mind, this stuff. But we're like so grateful by all this new stuff, whereas new entrepreneurs who come into it for the first time, it's all they've ever known.
Yeah.
So, and I think it just robs them of that emotional resilience. If there was, I think they should make some kind of like a military boot camp to toughen up the kids. If there was an entrepreneur boot camp to say, hey, look, you've got no phone, you've got none of this stuff, you've got, like we had, you've got $10, you've got, this pair of sunglasses. You need to go and sell these for $20 by end of the day.
I love that.
And you've got a bus ticket. Like, that's all you've got. Who can go out and actually get shit done? Yeah. And if they can go and do that, build that resilience of the basics of I can find a product, I can sell it, I can sell, I can market, I can distribute, just get things done. Then go back to your like passion project, whatever you really want to do, and that'll be 1,000 times easier.
So much easier. I mean, it's so funny. So many online coaches, consultants come to me and they're like, I would do anything for my business to work, for it to take off. And I'm like, can you send out 15 DMs to prospects per day? And they're just like, like the Michael Scott meme is like,
but what do I say?
Yeah, it's like, I don't know if I can do 15. That burns me out, man. I don't want to get burnout. 15,
Just think that Wolf of Wall Street meme with a laugh, like burnout.
Yeah, exactly that one. Because dude, I do 15 DMs per day for fun while waiting for my freaking Uber. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, and here's this is a lesson I keep learning anew, time and time again. Just the other month, I was like, okay, Max Tornow podcast. I've had all the cool people on that I wanted to have on so far. I don't have any guests for next week. So I just made a list of like really cool people of whose content I had been consuming the last couple months. And I'm just like, no filters. I'm not even going to say they're too big. They probably don't know me, yada, yada, yada. But I'll make a list and I'll just hit all of them up. And I think it was like 8-9 people. And amongst those 8-9 people were people like Ash Dykes. Who else do we have? Darren Lee, whose program I bought. Also people like Peter Schiff. And so many really cool dudes that I'm like, these are really freaking awesome. Like, I follow them. I love them. They have no clue who the hell I am. But I just said, fuck it. I'll DM them. Like, what's the worst thing that could happen that they just ignore me and don't reply? So I DM'd all of them. Some via email, some via Twitter. And every single one of them got back to me and they're like, oh yeah, I'd love to be on the podcast. Yeah, let's do it. And I wasn't even like overhyping or lying, like, just the greatest podcast in the world. I'm literally saying, listen, it's a new podcast. Probably gets like 1,000 downloads per episode. Would love to have you on. And what I did was just like you said, I used some game, I made it look like a win-win, which it is. I'm like, listen, I saw you got this program here. Can I promote it? Would love to have you on the show. It's not the biggest show, but maybe we'll get you some sales. Listen, I got a big Instagram account, but I'd love to promote you on there. The podcast itself has almost no views yet, but I can promote your stuff on Instagram. So I literally just said, this is some valuable stuff for you. Podcast is about 1 to 2 hours. They all said yes. Every single one of them. And then you have the podcast and you hit it up with those guys. And then they're like, yo, let's hang out next time I'm in XYZ city. And it's just this like, you never know what's going to happen. And every single DM that you send out can have this crazy butterfly effect. So you got this random person that you're DMing. If you're just starting out as a fitness coach or a dating coach, you got no brand, no nothing. Just like you did it with the hair salon. You DM someone, they can become your client. They can become your freaking free test client. Now they refer you someone. That person ends up being pretty rich. Now maybe that person buys for 8K, 15K from you. Now that person refers you to their brother-in-law, who's also rich. Now that guy has a brand. Now that guy invites you to his random podcast. Now all of a sudden you get exposed to 100 people. Out of these 100 people, another guy hits you up, and that guy has a great network connection to a lot of other people. And boom, next thing you know, you got a freaking client base. Yeah, it can go so fast, but you need to take the first step. You need to be... You cannot be cool. You cannot think that you're too good for that. Just grind it the fuck out.
Yeah. You mean, you've heard like the 6 degrees of separation theory, right? And the social scientists now reckon that with social media and the internet, it's probably closer to like 3 degrees of separation now. So a little technique that I think is one of the best referral networking techniques for any coach to use. I'll give it to you guys right now.
Let's go.
I call it my superstar client questionnaire. Now, it's amazing how 90% of the coaches I give this to haven't got the fucking balls to do it. I don't understand why, because it's not difficult at all. But you'll be amazed at the network effect you'll get through your existing clients. And so I don't ask them to network or get referrals, because I think that brings up like that false belief of like, oh, it's cold, I don't know. All I want the clients to do is give me warm introductions. So I make this questionnaire, which is basically listing out, I want to know all the places that my clients also share their money, attention, free time. So if it's like a local business, I'm going to ask them, if it's my gym, I'm training like females, for example, I'm going to say, hey, like, who's your hair salon? Do you get beauty massage? Do your kids go to a private school? Where do you work? Would your work be open to having like a free fitness lunch and learn? Do you know anybody that works in the media? Do you know anybody that, might be able to help me in some way? Do you have media contacts? Do you have anyone in local government positions maybe you might know? Or anyone who's like a micro-influencer? Where do you go and drink coffee? Where's your favorite restaurant in town? And I basically tell the client, I say, look, I just want to know, where are you spending your time? Because birds of a feather flock together. You're a superstar client. I'm giving you this questionnaire because I want to know who else you hang out with, because I want to get more people just like you. I'm like, Sandy, I would love 100 clients just like you. If I could duplicate you, that would mean the world to me. So I want to know who you hang out with and where you go so I can tap into these areas. So the client feels amazing. And if it's online, you just do the same thing online. Like what subscriptions, what magazines, what influencers do you know? What people have you had on your podcast?
I'm going to write this down too.
So you make the things that you want, the assets you want, like potential. Every person is one of like 3 C's, right? They're either a potential client, a potential collaborator, or a potential connector to somebody else, or all 3. Or there's a 4th C. They could be just a talk. But we don't look for those. So
I love it.
So every client, and this is why you never, like you don't know like who people know, and you never know who you're talking to and who they might know. So, let's say one of my clients then has a friend, a sister. She might just be a potential client who wants the same result, but she could also be a connector. Maybe she doesn't want to get in shape, but she goes, oh, but I'm good friends with the head of a local organization who are doing a giant fitness event next week. You should talk to them maybe. Or I know the principal of a school and they have 400 parents. Or they might be a collaborator. Like, oh, I run a salon. I've got 400 clients. Let's do a collab. So you never know. And so you give this questionnaire out to your clients. If you give it to like 5 clients, right? You get 5 of them to fill it out. Give them an incentive, like if you need to, like a free session or something, or a free product. And each one of those will give you a minimum 5 names.
Sick.
Of a potential business owner, influencer, mentor, someone they know. Maybe someone's worked privately with another top business coach. And you're like, oh, I'd love to get that guy on the podcast. Boom. You go, well, I've got a call on Friday with him. I'm on his weekly webinar.
Yeah.
No worries. And if you got just 5 names from 5 clients, That's 25 people. And the next step is, once you've collected these names, you then prioritize which of these connections you want to get in touch with first. This becomes like a weekly strategy. And you then go to that client and say, hey, look, you've mentioned these 3 names. I would love to do something with these guys. Could you give me a warm introduction, maybe like a 3-way message on WhatsApp or something? Because when it comes as a warm introduction from the client, like kind of like with Sergio, like, hey, let me hit you guys up to get, you guys should meet. The other person's never going to say no because they don't want to let their friend down or look rude.
Yeah.
So they go and set the warm introductions up for you. So again, if you get 5 names from 5 clients, that's 25 new introductions a week. And you don't know where those things are going to go, but you only need one contact who can literally like quantum leap things for you, right?
That is so genius, man. Like I'm getting my mind blown so much because I am one of these spoiled guys. I'm like, oh, Facebook ads, just run ads, right? But now you're like, well, you can actually get clients from your client, and we have a referral system, which is pretty good. But this is completely new level. Damn it!
And so basic, like it's
yeah.
And because then my clients are like, oh, but like, what do I say? And I'm like, did you forget you're a human being?
Yeah.
Stop making it into a tactic and just say what you would say to a person, not on social media.
Amen.
It's amazing, So yeah, and I've got so much gain out of doing that. Unbelievable contacts. I even here in Cyprus, I've been put into contact with so many, just amazing people off the back of one little questionnaire like that to a few people.
I mean, you're doing these like meetups once a month or something like that at your crib or something. How does that work?
So me and my friend Johannes, we like to get entrepreneurs together. We've built a bit of a mastermind kind of thing, not teaching or anything, but yeah, every six weeks or so we do a big meetup at his place.
Sick.
And we've started it a couple of years ago, and we get about 60 or 70 entrepreneurs a time coming now. Sick. There's a real need for connection, and people. We don't really aim to make much profit out of it. We'll pay for a barman and drinks and food and photographers and everything out of the money that we charge, and then anything left over we just put in the pot and we
put it for the next
reinvest it. We're not trying to like generate any cash out of it. We just need friends. So we just want to bring get people together and like you say, yeah, you meet people that are doing massive crypto deals, massive real estate people who are like buying up malls and shit over here. And of course, it's a great for social game because that's where there's always more and more ladies coming now.
The ladies.
Where do all the ladies want to be?
We know why
the ladies want to be where all the high value men are, right? So they all come to you. You're the big dog there. And so, yeah, so it's just so many social business benefits from just collaborating and networking old school.
I mean, again, like I'm just a dude with a podcast, and that alone is already so huge for me. It's like every time I quote unquote run out of guests, I get like a slew of recommendations, and I'm not even doing the stuff that you're doing, and it's already working super well, So yeah, it's freaking crazy. And a quick interlude because this episode is sponsored by nobody. I got my own business. I make my own money. Maybe I'll have sponsors at some point, but the only thing I'm asking you for is right now are 2 things. Number 1, if you're watching this on YouTube, please do drop a comment. Any sort of lesson that you've learned so far, any sort of suggestions that you have for me, please drop it in the comment. It will help us with the algorithm. And the second thing is, if you're listening to this on Spotify or iTunes, please do leave us a 5-star review rating thingy because that allows my podcast to rank higher. I can get even more awesome guests on this podcast, and it helps me reach more people and share more awesome value with you entirely for free. So if you haven't done so, give us a thumbs up, give us a rating, whatever, leave a comment. And thank you so much for everything. I really, really appreciate the hell out of you. So let's crack right into it. Where in Cyprus do you think is like the biggest hotspot of entrepreneurs? Is it Paphos? Is it Limassol? Is it Larnaca?
I think we're in transition right now. At the minute, it's been traditionally Limassol.
Nice.
Now Limassol is a bit overcrowded and overexpensive. And now it's Paphos.
Ooh,
now, in the next 5 years, people are not going to recognize this place.
Everybody says that.
And that's partly why me and my Johannes want to be on the forefront of it.
Yeah.
I think he's doing it, I think, more for just the philanthropic side of it, I believe. I'm also got a bit of a secret. I'm a big collector of assets as an investor. So for me, I want that list. I want to have in a year from now, the list of like 300 to 500 top people in Cyprus who are coming to our mastermind events.
Oh, hell yeah.
Because I don't know what I'm going to do with that list, but when anyone, when you can become a broker of a list like that, when this place is shit hot, and you're the guy that can, because first of all, the affluent people come to a quiet area that has good lifestyle benefits, weather, tax, whatever it might be. After that, the suppliers start coming in. That's when the Lambo garages start opening up. That's when the crypto exchanges start coming. That's when the tax advisors to the wealthy start setting up over here, and they start following those clientele. So when those people come to the island eventually, and they want to know where all the high net worth individuals, and I go, well, I've got 500 of them who come to my event every month. Let's talk.
Shakalaka.
And that's the long-term plan, is to kind of monetize that asset in a value-driven way that connects people to the people that they need. So, I would say here, Paphos.
So first of all, I want to get some of that real estate in Paphos. I'm so having my eyes on it, and like every month I'm getting more serious. I'm like, okay, Paphos is going to blow up. Also because there's now this university that started or is going to start there, like a big international
One
university.
from Lebanon, with 5,000 people.
Exactly. Is that already a thing?
It'll be like end of this year, I think.
That's going to blow Paphos. And Paphos is beautiful. It's such an underrated place. You got the beach there. You got the little harbor thingy. And it's like, it's really freaking cool. It's like, I love going there for like cheat days and just go get all the ice cream and then all the pizza and just chill. And you're right. It's like so cheap. It's ridiculous. Like because I live in Helsinki also. So my main base is here in Cyprus. But my girlfriend lives in Helsinki. So I spend a lot of time there as well. Like 2-3 months a year. And, I just go like for like coffee and cake with her, and it's just like $60. And I don't care. I'm like, yeah, whatever. Yeah. But then I go here in Paphos and I expect the same, and it's like 15. And I'm like, wait, did you guys put everything on the list? Like, what is this? It's like $50. It's so ridiculous. But dude, let me help you with this for everyone listening to this. And they're like, okay, I'm an entrepreneur. Cyprus, yada, yada. I want to be part of some of the marketing stuff, some of the networking stuff that you're doing, these like events. How can they reach out to you? Can they find? Is it online somehow?
Yeah, I'll drop my Instagram. Just my name on Instagram is the best thing, and just hit me up through there.
Yes. Dope. Justin _ Devonshire, I think it is.
I think it's just. I don't actually know. I think it's just Justin Devonshire, to be honest. I mean, I'm so old school with these things. We don't have a website for this or anything.
Justin Devonshire all together.
Yeah, we can just drop the link to Instagram. Anyone, if you're in Cyprus, just that's why I've met most people, is just reaching out. I met Johannes here a few years ago on Instagram. I saw he came up on my profile, and I just saw looks like a cool dude. He's an entrepreneur. I hit him up. I was like, hey, dude. I gamed him. I was like, hey, dude, let's go for a coffee. You seem pretty interesting.
Love it.
And and I think if most entrepreneurs learn to like game the guys the same way they game the girls, you'll get a lot better business results and lifelong friends and. Which is the real thing. And
it's so funny because people are like, what's the networking technique? And then he's like, it's just give value. Like what can I do for you, man? Like it's that sentence. What can I do for you, man? Yeah. What excites you? What are you currently working on? And then just rummage through your brain and like, okay, if he does that, if he's into crypto, who do I know? Who do I connect to? For me, the easiest thing, and I'm a socially awkward person, believe it or not. Like I actually have to put effort into it to be empathetic and to kind of think like that. So it doesn't come naturally for me, but one big helper for me is the brand, is the podcast. So I was like, I might be awkward, I don't know, I'm weird, but can I have you on my podcast? Like that alone is already super valuable.
Giving them a platform and
giving them a damn platform.
What we found is I think one of the things entrepreneurs are just lacking today is just connection. Yeah. So and also someone to take the lead on organizing these kind of meetups, because this is what happened with me and we have a good network of 10, 15 like solid entrepreneur guys, but we're always like arranging a coffee is like the hardest thing in the world. It's like, hey bro, you want to go for coffee tomorrow? Oh sorry, I'm in Vienna, or I'm in Vegas for an event. I'll be back. How about like the 16th of July? Yeah. And then you get one guy and you say, let's call Fabian, see if he's around. He's like, oh no, I'm at Andrew Tate's birthday party today. It's like, oh fuck, dude. So it's so hard to get like a few of us together at one place at one time. And we just realized if one of us doesn't step up and really take lead on this and strategize our calendar like we were serious in terms of prospecting, we're never going to really have a good social circle. Yeah. So we had to literally I say to this to people, I say, like, show me your calendar and I'll show you your priorities. If you believe in working out, you probably have a set time to work out every day. Do you believe in your network and social time? If so, where's the 45 minutes a day you dedicated for that?
That's a good point. Put that on your calendar, damn it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I ask most people, bit of a tangent here, but if I say to most people, like, hey, I'll say to most coaches, I say, hey, do you believe like mindset work is more important than physical going to the gym? And they'll always cop out and say, well, they're both equally important. I say, yeah, I know, but if you had to pick one, really what's more important, mindset or training your body? And they'll go, well, mindset. And I'll go, great. Do you have 45 minutes of mindset training scheduled in 3 times a week? No. That means you prioritize your body over your mind. Nothing wrong with that, but it just shows the gap in what we say is a priority versus what we actually do. And so we realized this with our social circle, and we were like, we need to put these events on. We need to just organize the time, take the lead, do the legwork for people so they haven't got to take time out of their busy schedule, and they can just turn up and connect with people, and then they can just go home again. And that was the value that we just set out to provide to people.
And everybody wins. That's the coolest thing. Like, everybody wins. You guys win when you organize it. The people that go there win. And it's just like, the greatest things in life are things that give a win-win to everybody. And they're so easy. They're much simpler to set up than you'd think, you know? Well, that being said, when's the next entrepreneur meeting thingy? Can we give a shout out?
We just had one a couple of weeks ago. So the next one, it'll be about 4 to 6 weeks, most likely.
So that will be by the time of the recording, it's like end of May.
May, June, it'll probably be like the summer themed one with the pool party and everything. We tend to theme it.
Oh yeah, that's what I like.
We do all the stuff to get the retention, get people coming back.
So
we do white parties and different things.
I'm checking out my calendar right now because if I may come, which I would love to, let me know. I'll be there. I'll grab my epic video, dude. We're gonna shoot some epic videos for you. We're gonna give. Actually, what we could do is we could make it like an after movie of that event, and it's like a 3-minute trailer thing. I think that would be pretty freaking
well,
cool.
man, if you're around, we can organize more. You know, it just takes a few social media posts, a bit of DMs.
All
we
day.
can get a bunch of people onto this rooftop bars.
Love that.
Because part of the networking thing is, you know, as I go around and I do a lot of like what I guess is social game. Like I'll if I go to a restaurant or bar, I'm always going to try and network with the owner.
Yeah.
Give them some positive value. Or, hey, do you run this place? This place is amazing. You know, oh my God, your sparkling water is like the best sparkling water I've ever had in my life.
Love it.
Oh, hey, you've got a rooftop terrace. Like, what's the deal with that? You know, oh yeah, we just opened it for weddings and parties. Oh, hey, do you think it'd be cool if I bring like 30, 40 guys here and they just buy stuff from you and I could just get the place for free? And they're like, oh my, are you kidding me? Anytime you want, bro. Like,
let's
so
go.
When you get that network of all the business owners around town, the cigar lounges, the rooftop bars, the clubs, the yachts, you know, that makes your life a lot better and a lot easier too. So
genius.
That's something that I do a lot of here. So we've got plenty of places that I've done like my business retreats at certain places, and they love it when they see me coming, and I just bring like 30 people behind me.
You're like Jesus.
Who are entrepreneurs who aren't afraid to spend money.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, there's plenty of, we can set something up anytime.
All day, man. All day. I got my calendar right here. I have like, look. Okay, so first week of June is a little crazy for me because I'll see Metallica in Vienna. And then on the 1st of June, and then...
I'm going to see them in Denmark.
Ooh, is it the same tour or what?
Probably, yeah. It's June. 17th of June, I
That
think.
is so epic, man. Because I saw their tour, and I'm like, okay, where can I be when? And I'm like, funny enough, a week later, they play in Helsinki.
Uh-huh.
And it's, I think, the arena or whatever is like literally across the street from where I live.
Wow.
But the week after they're in Vienna, where they are in Helsinki, I'm at Rock and Park Festival in Nuremberg. So that's what I'll do the first week of June is just like Metallica and then Rock and Park Festival. But after that, so if you do it actually, the 4th weekend, I'm at the Austrian Grand Prix of June.
You see what I mean about meeting up with friends? Like,
God damn it. But yeah,
so it's like October 2035 then, is it?
Exactly. So as soon as you know, let me know. I'm down. I'll bring some people.
This is why we have to schedule our meetups. We just do this to get 10 of our friends together, and then it turned into 70 people.
That's the craziest thing. Like, I remember when I started doing those dating meetups, my first dating seminars, there was this little this like hostel / hotel in Vienna in the 10th district, which is kind of like the ghetto district of Vienna. And I found out that I could rent for an afternoon a seminar room that holds, I think, 50 people for 70 euros back then. And I'm like, $70? Holy shit, okay. So I did that, and I said, I'll do a talk there for... I had $70 of expenses, basically. And the first talk I did, I just promoted it on the forum. Like, that was way back in the days when forums were, like, an online forum were still a thing. So I had 3 people show up. And I'm like, 3 people showed up. That's awesome. Like, damn, I could just talk to these guys for a whole afternoon. They're going to listen. Fuck yeah, let's go. So I did that. And then I said, listen, guys, because this went so well with you 3 guys showing up, I'm going to do the same in 2 weeks. All I'm asking for you is to bring a friend. And they're all like, yeah, super valuable, we'll do it. So 2 weeks later, I do the same thing. It was, again, 70 euros expenses. 10 people showed up. It was 9 or 10, something like that. Everybody brought like 2 friends. And I'm like, oh, we should 10 people. Holy cow, let's go. And then I said, love this, guys. I'll do the same thing again in 2 weeks. Just bring a friend. Yeah. Next time, 30 people showed up. So now the room is getting crowded. And then one guy was like, dude, this is so valuable. We should let like a little bucket go around so people could just throw money in it. Like whatever they want. And I'm like, that's a great idea. So just whatever you want to leave here, leave it here. Right? Some guy would like throw in a €2 coin. And some guys would just leave a 20. Like just like, here's $20. This was super valuable. Like I talked about like how to text girls or something like that, you know? So all of a sudden, I have like $150. So I made like 70 euros of profit. So now I'm like, okay, so I'll rent the next place already, and I still had like $10 left. The math is off now, but it was just, I don't know the exact number anymore. And with the extra money, I bought protein powder from My Protein and a shaker and some sort of snack. So in my head, I'm like, cool, so these guys can come in and can make a protein shake in the corner, you know? So next time, 97 people showed up. And it was so crazy because the room only held like 55 people. They were like standing at the wall at the back, and there was no AC. It was sweating because the people were there. But I had freaking 97 people there. And at that time, I was able to actually afford a little Sony Handycam for like $150, but that stupid thing could only the battery would only last for 20 minutes. So I would record my talk, but I knew I can only record the first 20 minutes of it, and then the camera would die. But I slapped that thing on the internet. Yeah. I was there, and people were like, who's this guy? He gets fucking 100 people into one room.
It's crazy, man. Like, it's exactly the same story. When I started my first event, it was 3 people. Dude. One was my girlfriend at the time. Another one was her friend she brought along. But I did exactly the same thing. It's so crazy.
And I'm like, and I was hyped. I'm like, 3 people? Are you kidding me? Let's go.
When I teach other like coaches and like I teach entrepreneurs, like set up events. It's one of those best old school ways. I think a seminar beats a webinar hands down.
Yeah,
most of the time,
all day long.
And you know, someone did it once, and they got like 6 people at their first event, and they were bummed. And I was like, bro, you're doing twice as good as I was at that time. Like you're like double as rich as me. Like at that point. That's a pretty good trajectory, you know?
I mean, one website that I really love showing my clients whenever they're like getting only 1,000 views on a reel, I think it's like crowds, like what's the website called? Show Me Crowds? ShowMeTheCrowd.com, just Google it. So it's a website where you put in like 1,000 people, and then it shows you a picture of 1,000 people, of a crowd of 1,000 people.
Oh, right.
So every time someone says, oh, I only got 1,000 views, I'm like, go let it show you what 1,000 people look like. That's a shitload of people that just saw your stupid reel that you recorded in your mom's basement on your iPhone. That's amazing. And again, like, I think we're so spoiled with like, whatever 13-year-old kid on TikTok goes viral and becomes a millionaire overnight, you know? Yes, cool. Who gives a shit? Who gives a shit? You get 100 views on a reel, you get 2-3 high-ticket clients. Now you're making $6,000 a month. You know what I mean? Like if you close $2,000-$3,000 clients a month, congratulations. You're making more money than my mom, who's a psychotherapist who had to study psychology on the side for like 5 years or something next to bringing us kids up. She's not making $6,000, and here you're sitting freaking DMing people while you're sitting in the toilet. You're posting once a day some 30-second video, and you got 2 clients that made to pay $3,000 each.
It's crazy. I think we just need like a big great reset on expectations for entrepreneurs. You know, I'm all about big goals, but yeah, like the people who come into entrepreneurship today, they're just the expectations are just crazy. You know.
Amen.
Partly because of guys like me, like you can make 7 figures in 90 days and stuff.
We're part of the
problem. but you know, we're more realistic about it. But you know, but yeah, I just think there just needs to be more realism for people of getting their expectations in check, and like you said, more about just being more grateful.
Yeah.
For what you're doing and just not forgetting the impact you're making on like one person's life.
Mm-hmm. That's
like to
huge.
me, that's always still the biggest thing. Is I might close some big deal. We've signed up 2 new franchisees. We're gonna whatever. And then I get one message from one of my clients who's like, I just got my 10th client and I've made like $500, which has allowed me to pay my rent this month. And like, I start bawling and I'm like, oh my God, I'm in it for the right reasons.
It's beautiful.
But we forget that stuff sometimes, right? And it's like, that's what it's all about. Helping one person, never mind impacting 1,000 people.
Dude.
And just to these guys listening, just bring it down a peg, bring it down a touch. Put in perspective as well of like, I think we get lost in our bubble too, right?
Yeah.
We think that like, well, everyone makes 7 figures that I know or 6 figures, but you go into 99% of the world, you just end up being like an entrepreneur in his bubble is just kind of like a hot girl in her bubble who thinks like, I don't ignore 99% of men in the world. Like, yes, you do.
Yes, you do.
They don't even like your brain doesn't even perceive them as like pixels in your brain. Like you just don't even. It's like Black Mirror. They just come with like fizzled out faces,
blurred out NPCs. Yeah. That's like the NPCs that didn't get rendered fully. It's just a blurred out pixel thingy.
Yeah.
But I think it was like a month ago. I had a really, really bad day. Just like. Caught a low testosterone day, just tired, stressful, issues. And I'm just going on I'm like complaining that we made whatever, like only 20K in a day. It's like, God damn it. Only 20K, I'm a loser. And then I just randomly go, I think it was this podcast channel, and I just see some comment, like a nice comment of some guys like, Max, I've been following you for like 2 years now. Just want to tell you, like, I just got my first client. It's so amazing. I just applied the free stuff. And just like you said, I shed a tear. I'm like, you don't know what this means to me today. I really needed this. It's like this one fucking person like really like brightens up your day. And so do you as well as an entrepreneur. Like you don't need to make the millions. You don't need to drive around the Bugatti. Like in fact, maybe you don't even want that because the shit that you need to go through to go to the highest top 1% level, a lot of people don't even want that. When you walk down the street and you would ask someone randomly, hey, do you want to make $1 million? They'd be like, fuck yeah, I do. And then you're like, but do you want to do this, feel like this for so and so many years? They're like, oh, no, I'm good. Right? So, and I always say too to my clients, I'm like, you don't need to want to make $1 million just because everybody wants it. If you honestly, truthfully, wholeheartedly say, I'm pretty cool with making 5K a month, 10K a month, just replacing my 9 to 5, or God beware, making a couple extra K on the side while in my 9 to 5. That's already fucking awesome, and you don't need society to dictate to you that you should have bigger goals. Because I know literally, like you know this as well, most people that come to us, they say they want to make millions, and then we get to 10, 20K a month, and then they're like, actually, I'm pretty happy right now.
Yeah.
This is pretty freaking cool. Now, I personally disagree. I personally say, if you're making 20K a month, that's literally harder than making 200K a month. Please keep scaling because it's much cooler, much better. But again, I'm biased, right?
You
that's
have
my
to have momentum.
Yeah, you
Physics.
have to 100%. And this is just
because you won't stay at 20K a month.
Exactly.
You either zoom up or you crash down. So
exactly.
Agree, yeah.
But then again, like that's how it is. But then a lot of people say, no, I'm fine, and that's totally cool too. It's like don't have your own expectations, bring your own goals to the table, and stick to them. And if you get mind blown by hanging out with other people that are making more money more easily, also be open to change your mind and say, like, you know what, I thought 20K a month is cool, but this guy is making 20K a day. Okay, I want to do that too. That's how it was for me. And just yesterday, we had Oliver Anwar on the podcast, and he's hanging out in Dubai with some dudes that are just making $1 million a day. And he's like, okay, that blew my mind. Fuck you. I'm going to make a ton more money now as well,
There's so much to talk about on that level. I've gone from like, employee to business owner to investor in companies, and 6-figure companies, 7-figure companies. And right now we're scaling our franchise is probably do 3.5 million this year. Where next goal is 10, because like it's dangerous to aim for 5. I always want entrepreneurs should know the difference. I call this the entrepreneur gray zone, where we're driven at first, we're pushed with motivation to get away from pain. This is old Tony Robbins concepts, which lets us blow out of that 1K a month up to 10, 20K maybe, depending on the nature of the business. And that's the point that I got stuck and a lot of other guys get stuck, that gray zone. for many different reasons. But yeah, I think people aren't aware at that point. Like, it's a massive pivotal time. But I don't believe there's no maintenance of a 20K lifestyle business.
Yeah.
You've got to make a choice at that point. You know, if it's gonna be a lifestyle business, like, fine, but it's gonna be harder because you're gonna ebb and flow from 10K to 20K to 15 to 22 to 9K. It's gonna happen.
Yeah.
It's gonna be inconsistent, and it's always gonna have to rely completely on you. If you want to take the next step into being a performance business, you know, it's gonna have to rely on team members, bigger infrastructure, and like I teach people, like when I teach them, like the scaling side of things is businesses can only scale due to momentum. So if you're going to bring team members on who need to feel certain, need to know if you're going to retain them, they need to feel certain, they need to know they've got a job in the next 6 months. You've got to make more money than you think you need to make. And, you know, it's like having kids. If you say, I'm going to have just a small business with 5 employees, no, that's like you choosing to be a dad with 5 kids. And they grow and they have different needs and they're going to want different things and they're going to have different emotional hang-ups. And, you know, it's one of those decision points I think that entrepreneurs struggle with. If they don't make that conscious decision, like we're at 20K now, we need to run to 100. Like you said, that's when they just get stuck and it gets so much harder to stay in place because you will not get consistent help.
Yeah.
Or the infrastructure of the tech and the systems to automate it all will just be too expensive.
Yeah.
In general, unless you just want to stay on your own. But you have to admit, then you're a solopreneur. You work for yourself.
Yeah.
So you've got a job.
And you're one car accident away from having no income.
Yeah.
Or being sick with COVID for 2 weeks, boom, half the income of the month is just gone.
Yeah, you don't get holidays now. You don't work, you don't earn. Which again is fine if you're just honest about it and consciously doing it. But if you're like, oh, I've got a 20K a month entrepreneur, it's like, well, COVID comes along, we'll see.
Boom, gone. Yeah. I mean, the thing is, too, like, the higher I went with bottom line profit every single month, the better mentors, the better programs, better masterminds I was able to afford. And these better masterminds got leveraged much more relative to the money that they cost me. So I ended up making more and more money. So if you're making 10, 20K a month, you can afford whatever mentorships that are like 5K, 10K, maybe 20K, where you literally said, like, okay, I'm taking like a month of my profit and invested in some really high quality stuff. But you can't do that every month. What I'm doing this year alone is like, I'm probably spending multiple 6 figures in this year. You probably spend way more at your stage, but I'm spending like multiple 6 figures this year just on like mentors, partnerships that bring me further. And that's stuff, like, I'm just like talking to one of these guys that I'm paying like 25K for half an hour, and I'm like, you just told me things that I'm going to execute over the next 6 months on that are going to make me so much money in those 30 fucking minutes that I just paid you for. It's absolutely insane. So the leverage by which you multiply is just going to get higher and higher. When you buy some program, and I'm not showing you any programs, when you buy a program of like that pays you 5K, that costs 5K, yeah, maybe you're going to make 50K, 100K from that over the next years. When you buy like a crazy mastermind that's like 30, 50K, you're going to make millions in the next years from that. So the leverage just kept being more and more multiplied, which is insane.
And, you know, we're at the stage now, one of the big realizations, I've got a good video on YouTube, I think, where I put 10 lessons from us scaling from like 2 locations to 20 at the time. And I put like our 10 business lessons, like 3 lessons from the foundations, 3 as we were scaling, and then 3 lessons we're realizing now, going from like 7 to 8 figures. So I did like the biggest things I learned from 0 to 6 figures, 6 to 7, and then 7 to 8. One of the big things that might be relevant for some people listening, or it might be in the future for them, at this stage now, 7 to 8 figures, it comes to a point where we're realizing we have mentors, we still invest, we do heavily invest in all that stuff. A lot of the investment is more in systems, though, like different systems and applications and tech that is scalable for the size we need. But we've pivoted our mindset a little bit in that one of the things we do most of the time now is we're seeking out employees or team members that we can pay the big 6-figure salaries to, that can teach us stuff that I don't know. I'm in the process. My job right now is hiring people who I can learn from, who I'm stupider than, who will work for me.
Yeah.
So it's like if you get one of those mentors, like you mentioned, who makes you money. Imagine that guy is in your company on a retainer month to month, who turns up to your office for a meeting every Friday.
Yeah.
And you can fire them if you want to, right? So, because what'll happen is I realized you'll get to 6 figures, 7 figures, learning the skills you can learn from the courses. You can be pretty good you can learn to be pretty good at marketing. You can learn to be pretty good at Instagram, Facebook ads, sales, bit of team leadership stuff. You can go buy courses, learn, and become good enough in those things to get to a point. What we realized just in our business, getting past like towards the 10 million, the next level of scale, is there's new skills that need to come into the company that we cannot learn. I need people that have 15, 20 years experience in financial control, in human resources, in how do we manage the lawsuits by having 100 employees, tax efficiencies, understanding the best deals and getting the best deals on supply chains for things. Because we're ordering, protein powders in like 20,000 order shipments every month and things now, right? Or we're spending all this. We've got 6 figures a month of expenses, which you never think about. If you want to make 7 figures, you have to be comfortable spending 6 figures a month.
Yep. Amen to that.
I was like, at one point, we had a team meeting last week, like 30 people. I was like, when the fuck did we hire 30 people? I thought we had like 6 people working for us. Because I haven't met some of these guys yet.
Yeah, it's always the funniest. Like, who are you?
I'm paying you? Look at the payroll. Holy. Is that our profit? No, that's our payroll. Are you sure we need all these chips? The point is so we're at the point now where you need to go out and find these people who are real rock stars in the kind of things getting media exposure to get us featured in the BBC News and on all different things. We and operation people. You can learn a bit of management, but it's different when you hire someone who's got 20 years experience running, looking after 100 employees, and they'll work for you for like 80K a year.
Yeah.
And so that's the level I think a lot of businesses will get to eventually, is you need to start looking for those smart people, but you can't just absorb all those skills. It's just not going to happen. You've got too much other stuff to do.
Yeah.
And you just got to pay them to come into your company, and you're paying to learn from them.
Just let them rip
as they come in, and I'm meeting up with our new head of operations. We've got a head of marketing, head of operations. The head of marketing is she's getting us like featured in media. She's getting us nominated for awards.
Wow.
And they're all bullshit, but she's like, the press coverage you get, it does help. And I'm sitting, I'm learning. It's like mentorship. I'm like, right, guys, teach me all these things we're gonna do. And that's a whole different level of business. I didn't expect I would be getting into that at some point. I always thought I'm going to be the smartest one.
Yeah.
But eventually you realize, no, you need to be surrounded by people. I need to be the dumbest person in the room, in the business, basically, all the time. My ego needs to take a blow, or I'm not growing.
How do you walk me through your process? How do you find these guys? And then how do you hire them? Because if they're good, they're most likely working somewhere else, and you probably have to hire them away from there.
Exactly. Yeah, they're either working for themselves, or they've got a cushy job with some fucking Google or one of your biggest competitors, basically.
Yeah. So how do you find them?
So first, this is, I guess, what people would call employee branding, which is really good to look into if you're at 7 figures or so. It's your job as the CEO goes away from being the one who has a funnel to attract, convert, and retain clients. Once that's outsourced, or automated, you then need to be, your role as CEO is the talent hunter. You need a funnel that attracts, converts, and retains the best fucking A players, rock stars. That is what's going to be the difference between a small company and one that grows. It's the people, the rock stars you bring on that just fucking go, and you're like, yeah, okay, I've got to keep up with this guy.
Yeah.
The ones that challenge you to step up your game. And so once you know who you need, it's quite nuanced, like where you would find them, I guess. First place to look is at some direct competitors. So when Elon Musk wanted to start PayPal or one of his companies, he just went to Facebook or some company that had the best guy in the world for this. I think it was when he started building the rocket ships. Yeah. He just went to NASA, found the top guy. He's like, whatever they're paying you, I'll give you 30% more to come work for me. And the guy's like, done. And that guy brings all his 50 years experience with NASA.
Yeah.
Boom, in his company straight away.
Boom.
That's what you're bringing, is people that bring their own systems, infrastructure, experience. So competitors are a good one. This depends on the nature of the business. Like if I was in, if I ran a restaurant, I'd be going to different restaurants, find the ones that are most well run. Like maybe here it might be like Cap St. George or the Amara Hotel. And if I was going to start a restaurant, I would literally find the restaurant manager in one of those places and say, hey, bro, like whatever you're paying, I'll give you 20% more. Come work for my new restaurant. You can be the guy, not a cog in a machine here.
Yeah.
So a lot of the times, if you're fortunate, they work in a big company. Because remember, if we're talking about coaching businesses here, we're quite immature or underdeveloped as an industry. There's not many. There's probably 5 seriously mature coaching businesses. Tony Robbins Institute is one of them.
Yeah.
So there's very few people there's very few jobs available for like a 500K a year COO for a coaching company. So there's not that many places to get them from. Whereas again, if you're in aerospace dynamics, you just go to NASA and poach someone. Or if you're in a restaurant, you can go to McDonald's and get someone. So if you can find someone in a larger company, or even find transferable skills, maybe you want to have a coaching business, but if you find someone who's a well-run business, even if it's a restaurant, if the manager there is keeping shit in order and he's looking after 20 employees and the service is always good and reliable and consistent, it's worth having a chat with that person, saying, hey, look, I know this isn't your usual field of work, but you've got the management skills, or if it's a financial controller or financial advisor, they don't need to have worked in a coaching business necessarily. So you can find examples everywhere of people that in well-run businesses, which are quite rare to find. You speak to the management, you go on LinkedIn, you can find people. There's recruitment and headhunters. There's a lot of things. What you have to realize, though, is you're going to be in competition to get these guys. The best people, it's a competition to get them. So we were in competition. We tried to recruit a regional manager from a very large UK gym chain, like JD Gyms or something. Like they've got like 600 locations, massive global gym, and their regional manager wanted to come to us. We couldn't offer the same salary at the time, but they would get a more personalized work environment, better culture, more room to grow, more skills to learn, and that's enough for those people. And then they gave a counter offer, and she was like, "Oh, well, they've given me a counter offer." And so you've got to you've got to actually compete for these guys, and you've got to pay above the odds if they're coming in with 20 years experience. Oftentimes, senior executives, we're talking about executive level hires now, these guys will usually command about 10% more money for every 5 years they've done the job. So if you want 20 years experience, it's going to be 20% above the average going rate versus an entry level person. But again, if you're at 7 figures and your business is profitable, which means you've done the basics right, then you should have or find that money to invest in that person. Because the other cool thing is when you invest, let's say 200K in a COO with massive experience scaling companies, the cool thing is you're paying that money, but you're paying it over 12 installments too. You don't have to pay it up front. You're paying them on a retainer. And if it doesn't work out, you can even end the clause, right? So, so that's what I would say at that level. It's hard to get nuance because it's very different for all different things. But
for sure.
Be willing to compete to get them, and you've got to build a funnel around it. Again, you have to think about you've got to sell this person on working for you. It's not a lot of entrepreneurs think, well, I'm offering 500K. That should be enough. No, if you want the best people, they want to work to learn, not just work to earn.
Yeah,
they want money. More money. Ironically, the people that command the most, the money means the least to them.
Yeah,
you need to show them something different.
They want the culture, they want the growth, they want the development while going through
the significance. Most of them become a cog in a machine. And if you can get that person, say, well, you're employee number 510 over there. You're going to be the first CEO of our company here. Yeah, you're going to be like in the top leadership, in the top 4 leadership team.
We see this with top level sales guys that we hire. Sometimes they come to us saying, I will make less with you guys over the short term, but you guys got the culture, you got the development, you got the team. You got the growth opportunity. Plus, like you said, like I can be a bigger fish in a smaller pond.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually I know we'll make more money together.
Yeah.
And we see that on a smaller
Or
scale.
maybe you could offer them some kind of equity in the company too.
Exactly, for example. Have you ever hired one of these execs and then they just didn't work out? And also, how do you screen them beforehand, if there is any screening?
Yeah, we've all hired people that don't work out, especially when probably more down to us as being more beginners to the process, and just like always. So we've got to look at internally what we did wrong. And yeah, I think it's a screening. It's a combination of screening and initial onboarding, and then ongoing like probation periods, or having like an intro period, like a trial, I guess. Having all those things locked into place. And I think in my case, the biggest mistake was with a couple of these people was just assuming, because I'm paying a lot of money and they've come from a prestigious company, that they're going to get the job done. In my instance, I think, remember, when someone comes from a bigger, more corporate company, like, those businesses are usually not
as efficient.
Yeah, they don't have their marketing stats dialed in. Like, a lot of 8-figure companies are absolute piles of shit on the back end, right?
They're burning money, actually. Yeah.
And so and a lot of these people are in positions that they're paid this money, and they're not actually turning the company around. So just because someone works for a Procter & Gamble or a Google or one of these things, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're gonna be like this knight in shining armor riding in on a big horse, And a lot of the times, a lot of coaches, especially if they're building businesses with your methodology, you're probably going to find that your systems, frameworks, and efficiency is better than most top companies.
It's funny, I noticed.
So it's actually going to be a bit of a culture shock sometimes. These guys come in and they underestimate like how much work goes into us. So, one woman we brought in, she'd worked at this big gym, and she's like, well, we have 10,000 members at this gym, and so we're like, well, it's all about the relationship with the members to us, right? Like, everyone is unique. It's all about that relationship. We only have about 200 to 300 members per gym, but they're paying a premium, and it's, and she's like, 10,000 people, no problem. So we're like, okay. And, when that person started with us, then she quickly realized, I think, that the workload was way more demanding than what she'd been used to. It wasn't demanding to us because we're hustlers, and we're always like, yeah, she's like, don't we have an automation to message the 200 people their meal plan? I was like, no, you're going to message everyone individually. Why? Because they're fucking paying for a premium service.
Yeah.
If you go and buy a Lambo, you don't expect, like,
automation
some shit, like
hey,
a text
for
message,
purchasing your Lambo.
like THX lol. Like, no, like, they're gonna bring it to you, go above and beyond. They're gonna invest. We invest more money because we charge more money, right? And so a lot of times there's managing expectations like that. A lot of people coming in often might not get to speed quickly with your processes. Doesn't mean they can't or they won't. You just got to be, I think, aware that your business, I mean, if you're a profitable 6 or 7 figure business, you're in the top 10% of companies in the world already, because 90% of companies don't even post a profit. So you've got to remember, you're in the top 10% already. You're like in the Olympic Games of businesses. You can't expect a local five-a-side football dad to come in and perform at the highest level.
Yeah.
So I would say in terms of like screening, yeah, you need to, I think as Gary Vaynerchuk says, hire slow and fire fast. I believe in that. So you've got to take more time in the courting process. It's just like a relationship, especially for executive position. It's like you're getting into a marriage deal with someone. So you need to court everyone, let them qualify themselves through the ranks as well. And you shouldn't rush the process. If you rush, you're going to end up hiring the wrong person anyway. I always recommend you interview a minimum 10 people for the role before you make a decision, because you're just going to have bias otherwise and not enough context. So, yeah, screening. I mean, there's going to be the application process. We have a multi-step process from the regular application of the resume, looking at that. We're going to ask them to send in like a WhatsApp video to us, like a 60-second video, pitching themselves on like why they're right for the job. Then if they pass that, there's going to be a phone call. The phone conversation is just to chat with them to see if they have just good social skills. You just blah, 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 anything. We just want to see, can they actually hold a conversation? Are they just fun to talk to? Would you feel comfortable with you and your team going for a beer with these guys, with this person? Like, do they feel like someone friendly? Because at this level, you're going to be very intimate with this person in the business. You've got to make sure you can get on with them.
Yeah.
I would rather take someone who's, hasn't got all the skills and experience yet, but it's just a fucking amazing personality. I'll find a job for that person because personality is so rare. I'll find a job for that person and teach them whatever skills they want versus, someone who's got all the skills and experience, but it's like talking to a brick wall.
Yeah.
It's like, you're not going to work in our culture. So the 5-minute phone call is just to get a gist of their energy, their social skills. And if we like all that stuff, we'll bring them in person. We'll then usually invite them for like an open day, I guess, where they'll just come and just sit in with us for a day and see what they'll be doing. So they can have half a day with us, just shadowing behind the scenes, how we run the company, how it all works. And, and then from there, if that all goes well and we answer all their questions, then we'll look at putting the agreement together.
Sick. One question that kind of goes along with that, but is a little bit of a topic change that I'd be super curious about. So when I look at my journey as a business owner from specifically, I would say 2019 onwards, I became less and less angry or less and less triggered whenever shit went down. And I see myself now, I still sometimes get angry. I still sometimes get triggered, start yelling. I'll be honest, I don't even want to fake it and say like, oh, I'm always the stoic guy. Like sometimes like when it's a particularly stressful situation in the business, I can get really angry. Now looking at you at your level, you're, decades ahead. Do you still have situations like that where you're yelling or where you're getting angry?
I don't know if I'm decades ahead, but I've never had that because I'm, in my business partnership, I'm more the integrator. My business partner is more the visionary. So if anyone reads the book Rocket Fuel, understands the difference between the two, for people who don't know, a visionary is someone who's a bit more people, emotion oriented, bigger vision, takes bigger risks, takes more action. Integrators are more the people like me who are a bit more introverted. We think of the details. We're more analysts. We deal with people less. We just deal with the facts and figures. So I've never really got to the point of yelling with anyone.
That's so good, man.
My partner, on the other hand, for sure, and other visionary entrepreneurs I've worked with, for sure, they have a harder time controlling the emotions because they're around people and they're absorbing that energy a lot more every day. And they're more in charge of controlling the energy or maintaining the energy for the whole culture. So did you ask tips on dealing with that?
No, I don't care. But no, just kidding. Well, has it gotten less with him or more or stayed the same?
Yes. And
which one, less or more?
Less.
Okay.
If the entrepreneur develops their emotional resilience and emotional intelligence, which I think is a big part of what's missing today, if you don't remember, as you grow your company, all you're doing is you're just taking on more and more responsibility.
Yeah.
And like you mentioned earlier, and taking more flack for it. And paying more taxes for it. There's no reason anyone should be an entrepreneur, really. It's horrible.
Like when you put it like that.
Why are we doing this? But it's essentially you're taking on more and more responsibility to feed more families or have more clients relying on you. It's just you're taking on more responsibility than the 99% of the world ever will. And that's the only difference between entrepreneurs or people that achieve goals and people that don't. They want to take on responsibility. Everybody else is afraid of responsibility, right? So, therefore, responsibility is the ability to respond.
Ooh.
Literally.
Ooh.
So, you need to learn how to respond rather than react
emotionally. And now we're getting there.
So, I think the audience knows the difference between responding consciously to something, to a problem going wrong, versus reacting like a maniac. Letting your emotions getting in control, and you reenact the same way you acted last time shit went wrong. And you're stuck with that same trauma pattern over and over again because you keep choosing it. So responsibility comes from emotional resilience, emotional intelligence, developing yourself mentally, spiritually, energetically. And I think that's the ceiling. I say that your business as an entrepreneur can only grow to the size of your consciousness.
Oh, let's go.
So really, it's not that you're never going to not get angry again or think you're going to have, there are going to be days, you know, I'll be the first to say there are days probably once a year maybe, is one of those days where I just go sit in my bed and say, you know what, why the fuck am I doing this?
Amen.
And you think, would it just be maybe simpler to get a 9-to-5 job? Maybe just scale back and have a little private consultancy, go back to 10K a month.
I think that all the time too. It's so funny.
It happens to all of us, whether
So
they admit
funny.
it or not. We all have that little mental breakdown once in a while. If we didn't, we wouldn't be doing anything worthwhile. So the emotional resilience is just your pattern recognition, where that happens. You're never going to avoid that. That's going to happen. And you suddenly have this other voice that says, wait a minute, but what about this? What about your goals?
Yeah.
What about the people that depend on you? Snap out of it. And you go, yeah, okay. Had that moment. I you know, you can feel the emotion, but you don't feed the emotion. You have your little funny 5 minutes. You have your fucking cupcakes and cheat food. And then you just get back on the treadmill and get on with it. I think that happens to anyone. Anyone who denies that is lying or not doing much. So the resilience is that part that stops you jumping off the edge. And so I think that's the part that if you develop the emotional intelligence more, that other voice just steps in automatically quicker before you have a meltdown and before you react and like fire someone or stab someone or whatever you want to do.
It's funny. I talked to this yesterday to Oliver Anwar, who had on a remote podcast, and I asked him, because he's a fitness coach, and we talked about stress eating, right? And then from there we talked about burnout, and I said, you know, I have a history with burnout. I got really burnt out in 2015 off the back of my 4th world tour, I think. Like actually clinically burnt out, where I had to like sleep 17 hours a day. It's really, really bad. Really, really bad. And ever since then, I've been fascinated with reading the signs before I get burnt out. Like, how do I know I'm overstretching the bow? And for me, it's eating. When I'm just like, you know what, fuck it, let's go eat the banana bread, let's go eat the chocolate, and then I just like binge eat, and I love it. Like, I love binge eating, but that is one of the signs that I'm doing too much. And I asked Oliver, and he said, and I'm like, what's the sign for you that tells you that you're stressed? And he said, when I stop making conscious decisions. So because consciously, is it good that you binge eat? No, it's fucking stupid. But you do it anyway. So now you just made an unconscious decision. Just like you said, you fire someone or you react much harsher than you should. It's a completely unconscious decision. Like, logically, it's not the right decision, but you do it anyway. And that's then usually a sign that you're too stressed, that you're closer to burnout.
Yeah.
And that's where you got to be really careful with. And it's funny because we entrepreneurs, we're a special kind of people. We're sadomasochistic. We like very much living a life on the edge, because most of the entrepreneurs I know, they're doing extreme amounts of work, but then they also do extreme amounts of partying. It's you're living. It sounds so corny, but it's just like you're living on the edge.
Yeah. I think our version of balance is just a different macro.
Yeah.
You know, rather than the average person is in microcycles. I'll do a bit of work for a few hours and I can watch Netflix for a few hours. Our macros are bigger, I think. Where like I'll crush a project for 3 weeks and then just fucking take a week off.
I'll hustle for a year and then I just go on vacation for 2 months. Like that's.
But I think what you're saying is right. I think for me as well, I've learned to notice the small habits first. You get like little indicators before the big unconscious things. It's the small unconscious things which really tell you. So what I did, I just did, I don't know where I got this from. I think I just made it up. I just looked at one day. I was like, look, I'm going to become very aware of what I'm doing every day. And I said, let's just write down all the things, as little as possible, that I do that, you know, I don't really, like the best version of me wouldn't do. Right? And it would be things like picking my nose, watching porn.
I do love picking my nose though.
Scrolling YouTube, looking for entertainment. You know, any things like scrolling or looking or just opening up Pornhub or whatever it might be. And then I went deeper and said, okay, now what emotion am I trying to satisfy by doing these things? Why am I doing it? And everyone has different reasons. For me, I would find that, okay, I would look at when am I triggered to do these things? And if I start procrastinating, it's usually because I'm about to do something, or I have to do something I want to put off. So for me, it's distraction. It's like, oh, I know I've got this super important like thing to do. There's this marketing campaign to make, but let me see, like, you know, what Fresh and Fit are saying on YouTube, right?
Yeah.
Let me see them destroy some hoe. Like, I don't need to look at that, right? So I would look at, why am I doing these things? And yeah, just attach it to like, what am I trying to like avoid or hide from or validate? You're doing it. It gives you something or you wouldn't do it. There must be some perceived benefit to you. And you look deep into why, so you're making it conscious. Like, why am I doing these things? Become conscious of these things. Because if we try and just stop them and don't become conscious of the bad habits, you'll just pick up new habits.
Mm-hmm.
And I've done that, right? You say, right, I'm not going to scroll Instagram anymore. I delete Instagram from my phone. Then I get a YouTube addiction.
Shit,
or I start reading Reddit forums or some
Yeah,
shit.
you
It'll
just
just
kick
be
in the can.
replaced, right?
Yeah,
You'll stop
yeah.
the junk food and you'll take up cocaine or something, right? Or you'll get a sex addict. Like, I've been through all these different things, right? And you realize it's just all the same thing. You keep going back to that frequency or that emotion in your body, which is usually going to be some kind of fear, guilt, shame, or doubt. It's one of those kind of things.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, you look at those things, and then I believe that if I'm doing those things, what we do is a reflection of the vibration that we're in. If you look at like a vibrational scale, I like that way of like disempowerment, fear, anxiety is at the bottom of like a lower kind of vibration frequency.
Yeah.
And this is all science. This is not like mystical stuff. And at the higher end, higher frequency, you move more, you're more empowered, peaceful, abundant, giving,
love,
creative.
yeah.
So I would look at, well, okay, me watching Pornhub, that's probably not like the love and peace, joy, Jesus Christ-like part of the vibrational scale, is it? It's down to, and I think, well, what emotion would I feel if other people were conscious of it? How would I feel if your girlfriend or your parents saw you watching it? You'd be like, well, I'd be shamed.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, okay, so actually this is a behavior that exhibits shame. So if I'm doing it, I must be feeling shame, because what we do is based on what we feel. If I want to give out things to people, it's because I feel happy in giving. So if I'm doing this, or I'm procrastinating, or scrolling, or gossiping, or doing whatever, or eating junk food, it's just telling me that's the frequency I'm in. Because if I was in a different frequency, I wouldn't think of even doing it.
Yeah.
We don't do those bad habits when we're in a different frequency. So I don't believe the thing is to necessarily try and stop and resist the bad habit. It's about going back to how I feel in my frequency. And if I have the urge to go and procrastinate or porn or whatever, then I just think, well, how about that's the frequency? I must be in the low end of the frequency. Let me just get back, do a bit of work, get back into the higher frequency. And then the craving goes away. You can't have the craving to look at porn if you're in a loving, abundant, joyful, creative state of mind. You wouldn't consume anything. You want to produce.
Yeah.
So if I'm consuming and not producing, I know I'm in the wrong state. And then, when you're in a good state, you just feel creative one day. A day will go by and you'll be like, oh, I didn't scroll once. I didn't think about picking up my phone. I didn't think about junk food.
Yeah.
You don't, it's like a good quote is like, you could only experience what you're the frequency of.
Oh, all right.
So you can't really experience having a bad habit of porn if you're in the frequency of like good creativity. You just won't see it.
Yeah.
And if someone says, hey, you want to look at this pair of tits? You'll be like, no, not really. Why, bro? I'm doing this.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just thought with those habits, it's becoming conscious of how your frequency or emotional state, and realize that you'll always revert back to the emotional states, the doubt, fear, guilt, or shame that you've practiced that protected you in some way growing up, probably. One of those things, probably you perceive more benefit to it at some point unconsciously.
And it's still there.
It's still there.
You still fall back to it.
Yeah. I was thinking about this just the other night. I was thinking back to being in school, as a kid. And I was a very quiet kid in school. I would always watch the other kids play football. I wouldn't get involved because I wasn't very good at it. Or, I was always too ashamed. And carried that shame. And then as I got older in high school, I wouldn't say I was bullied, but people would make remarks at me or call me names. The popular kids would call me names, and I just kind of oh yeah, because I didn't want to confront them, because I was afraid they'd kick my head in. I didn't want to create any conflict. And I was thinking about that, and I was like, but at 15, then I got into martial arts, MMA, kickboxing, and I was thinking, well, after the age of 15, I could have had conflict. I could have kicked their asses. So there's no need to be a people pleaser and act in shame. but I didn't make that connection. And then for the next 5-10 years, I still acted in shame and people pleased, afraid of conflict with people. Because the biggest threat we have subconsciously is, well, there can be physical harm. They can knock me out and embarrass me maybe.
Yeah.
And I look back and I was like, for the next 10 years, I had no reason to feel that shame. I could have knocked the fuck out of anyone I wanted to. But I'd practiced that people pleasing from such a young age that it just became the default. And it's so normal to us. We just think, well, that it's normal, it's comfortable, it's who I am, it's appropriate.
I've had this with my older brother. That was one of the first epiphanies I've had when I really thought about personal development and dating advice in my early 20s, because I grew up with an older brother, and he was always, because he's 3 years older than me, so he was always faster, stronger, smarter, everything. He's freaking 3 years ahead. So I was kind of like born with the thought of like, I am the sidekick. My brother is the main guy. I'm the sidekick. In fact, in my daydreams, when I would imagine, I would never see myself as Batman. I would always see myself as Robin.
Oh man,
because my brother's already
needs some therapy.
yeah. I was always the sidekick, like in my
syndrome.
freaking daydreams, you know. And then, so I always felt inferior to everybody else because I'm always the weaker, shorter, less smart guy. And I held on to this for many years. But then, in fact, it almost helped me because I remained very humble. Like I would have this huge brand, break all the records within the dating advice industry, but I would still be like, oh, but there's the older brother that does better. Wait a minute, no, that's not true. Like, holy shit. But like you said, like you're holding on to these like random things that helped you survive many years ago.
Yeah.
You still hold on to that, and unless you bring those up into light, unless you bring those up into consciousness, you're never able to peek beyond them and find out what's actually there. Yeah. Have you read Frederick Dodson, Levels of Energy?
No.
It's basically exactly what you said.
But I have what's the other one? Richard Dawkins, The Levels of Consciousness.
Yes.
This probably sounds like a very similar setup.
Because what you just said with the frequencies and stuff like that. It's such a cool book. What I really like about this book is it just puts numbers on it. I mean, it's, how scientific can it be? But it's like, yeah, like when like certain actions that you do are like at consciousness level 100, right? Like where watching porn is 30, right? Being part of an angry protest is like 60. Being enlightened is 900, right? Being creative, writing a song is like 400. Loving your wife is like 500. And it's really, really cool. And he also extrapolates it on the places. He says when you go to the Middle East, it's lower vibration than when you go to frickin' Zurich, Switzerland. And it's really funny because when I read that, we traveled, was it us pretty much? Or was it, we traveled from Ukraine, from Kiev to Zurich, Switzerland. So, I loved Ukraine when I lived there. I loved Kiev. But you kind of notice the vibration, that the cab drivers are grumpy.
Romania is the same.
Exactly. Everybody's a little grumpy, And then you fly to Zurich and you get out of the airport. And all of a sudden you're like, what? Everything is nicer. Like the vibration is like noticeably higher, which is really funny.
I totally believe in that. Like, so the levels of consciousness is very similar with all the scientific readings they do on it.
What do you do to, let's say you feel the draw towards lower vibration? What do you do that raises your vibration?
Yeah, good question. So, again, number one is trying to catch it when it's just small things. It's easier just to find, I've got just looking at, sometimes we might notice you just don't even realize it and you just pick up your phone.
Yeah.
And I've just got used to just catching myself going, why am I doing that?
Yeah.
So the first thing for me is out of sight, out of mind. So for me, that's why, like, if I'm not going to look at my phone, I have to cover it.
All right.
Because even just subconsciously, my subconscious will pick up that it's there and then start the trigger of, like, moving my hand to go and pick it up. And before you know it, you think, well, picking my phone up's not too bad, right? I'll just open up Instagram. That's not too bad, is it? And then it's like just the tip kind of, right? So it just gets progressively worse. So you've got to catch yourself in the early stage, because otherwise the momentum catches up with you. That the energy builds like a snowball when you're in the middle of a good like pornathon, and you got like 16 tabs open and you're getting all into all sorts of stuff. Like you ain't getting out of that until you're done. Yeah. Like you're done and you can't go anymore. And then you're like, what the fuck did I just do? Like what? You snap back out of it.
Yeah.
So you realize it's like a cloud of energy that just takes over you if you let it get to that point. So for me, it's all about managing your environment. I think we're humans and cells are big reflections of the environment we're put in. So scientists they do these things where they can put like bone cells into a jar of muscle cells, and the bone cell will turn into a muscle cell, which science says shouldn't be possible. So humans, I believe, will always adapt to the environment around us. So that's your social circle, the people you're speaking with. You know, if you've got toxic friends or toxic clients or whatever it might be, getting rid of those. Your just immediate environment. So for me, it's what's having the right screensavers on my phone, having the screensavers on my laptop, always having like the canvas pictures on my wall with the good sayings. So I'm always trying to trigger myself with positive things. Wherever I look, there's a positive trigger. So just trying to manipulate my environment is a big thing for that. And then I think a big part is down to what you eat and consume. If you eat the right things and exercise, that's going to help you stay in that positive frequency, because the more you, and just movement, the more you move, moving is higher frequency. That's why a dead person has like the lowest frequency, because they're just stiffies. Versus when you have the most excitement, you can't sit still.
Yeah,
you have to just go out and create and pursue and do something. You can't be stopped. So I find just movement. If you find and what I'll actually do is program this in again. So when if I'm on like a 6-hour work hustle marathon, I'm going to program in every 30 minutes like a 2-minute break to come up with like a Pomodoro technique to come up with my phone, and I have to just get up and move, go and do 10 push-ups, go and walk around the house, do something just to move to kind of get that energy level back up. It's basic stuff. It's like what Tony Robbins will do at his events, you know.
Yeah.
Stand up and high five each other, like
yeah,
high five the wall if you have to, but it works. It's just basics that work. I don't think you need to have any hypnotherapy or hug a child or anything like that. I think you can, movement, your environment, what you eat.
Yeah. Food is big. Food is big.
Yeah.
Like, I love myself some good dessert, but at the same time, like when you hit like 1 or 2 weeks of eating clean mostly, without stressing and obsessing over it, it's like you just feel so clear.
Yeah.
Like the mental clarity you can get from lifting heavy 3-4 times a week, doing 10-15K steps a day, out in the sun without a shirt. That's why I love being here in Cyprus. I wake up. What I do is actually my funniest thing is like I do quality control on my AirPods, so I listen to sales calls from my team or from my clients, and I walk around the pool in the morning. I literally walk around in circles like an idiot with my shirt off while reviewing sales calls. And that movement, the vitamin D that hits your skin, it just wakes you up. It makes you feel good. And then you have this like really good hunger because your body's burning calories. Then you throw in an epic steak, some eggs for breakfast. No carbs. I love eating no carbs in the morning. Just fats and proteins. You sit down with some good.
I've got the biggest change for me the last 3 months is I've gone full carnivore.
Oh, full on.
And I used to be like, I'm a fitness performance guy. Like I always used to I was like, you have to have carbs, you know, if you don't, your brain's going to fall out of your head or something. And I really got deeper into it. And I made the switch. I was like, just meat, butter, eggs.
How many carbs do you eat per day? How many grams?
0.
0 grams.
I just went straight off them. I was like, no.
Not even 10, 20 or something like that?
I might have like once a week. I might have like a slice of toast maybe, like with one of my meals if I really feel like it. But if I'm feeling a bit flat, but no, I just went fully off them. And like after a few days, you just feel so amazing, so much lighter, so much clarity.
Like, I do eat carbs, but I only eat them from veggies and mostly fruit.
I don't eat no veggies or fruit either.
Damn, that's crazy.
Full carnivore.
Crazy. So
that was the biggest thing for me. Like I'll have a dessert once in a while if I want to. But for me, it's like I just when I really started going deep into like vegetables and fruits and stuff, I realized like from my research, like there's just really no benefit to them at all.
Yeah.
And it's all like a big like fiber and stuff. It's not really necessary.
What's your calories and macros roughly? You probably don't count them anymore.
I don't. I eat twice a day probably.
Yeah, same.
That's all you need to do. So I'll have probably like wild boar bacon in the morning with a burger and 3-4 eggs, and then just like a steak or a lamb steak.
Hold on a second. Wild boar burger. That is oddly specific.
Yeah.
Wild boar bacon. Where do you get that from?
So my girlfriend has she has a Cypriot family, and so they've got like their own local butcher up in the villages. He has his own farm.
I love it.
And I know you get some stuff brought in as well, so it's like boar bacon. It's like
Dang,
amazing.
yum. You know, in Helsinki, one of the first things I noticed when I got there was like you can order. There's like this store on Volt where you can order bear meat and reindeer meat, and it's all local. And I'm like freaking out. I'm like, there's like a WhatsApp screenshot where I'm messaging my girlfriend. I'm like, because it's all Finnish. I'm like, is this bear meat? And she's like, hey babe, what's up? And I'm like, just answer the question. Is this bear meat? And she's like, yeah. And I'm like, OMG, like, give me this. And bear meat's really good. Have you eaten bear meat?
No, I haven't.
It tastes very.
I would feel like more of a man if I did, though.
Yeah. It tastes smokier than beef. So good. And then you can get reindeer meat, which is of course huge in Finland. And it's so good. I'm a connoisseur of that stuff, man.
Yeah, man, it's just the way. I'm just fully convinced now. It's the way we're supposed to be. Just like
it is. And I was vegetarian for 12 years. Like, don't
really?
Yeah, I was.
Oh,
I'm
shit.
29 from 2009 to 2 years ago. Just vegetarian.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
What made you do that?
The vegetarian thing?
Yeah, like what brought that on?
So I was funny. I was a music journalist back then, and there was this band. I was invited to be juror at a band contest in Vienna, and I went there. And one of the bands was a straight edge band. You know, no drugs, monogamy, no meat, just vegan. And they had the entire set that they played was like a 25, 35-minute set. They had in the back, they had a huge screen showing like slaughterhouse scenes and stuff like that. And I had seen these before. Slaughterhouse scenes, and I was like, whatever, that's not gonna keep me from eating my chicken burger. But because like I was basically forced to stare at that for 35 minutes, I'm like, I'm not gonna eat meat anymore. It's not possible. So literally that night, never
So
touched
it's like
meat
the
again.
ethical side of it. Yeah.
Never touched
Well, that's
meat.
more understandable, I guess.
Yeah, for like 12, 13 years. And at first, funny enough, I felt great. Like the first 3 years, I had energy because all of a sudden I was taking care of what I eat. I was paying attention, so I didn't eat any fast food anymore. That was also, 2009, lo and behold, like, believe it or not, there wasn't, like, very few fast food that was vegetarian or vegan. That wasn't a thing back then. Like, all the fast food was, like, whatever, salami pizza, freaking burgers, so it always had meat in it. So automatically, I was already cutting out 90% of the fast food that I would usually consume. So I started feeling really good. And then, you don't notice it. Like, probably, like, 3, 4, 5 years in, I started plateauing, and then it started dipping. And 2021 or 22 came along, and I had been lifting for almost 10 years at that point. And then I kind of noticed, I'm like, where's my gains? Like, I look the same like 5 years ago. I literally look the same. Almost a little bit more puffy. So it's like my body was just retaining water, and I didn't get a lot of muscle mass. And plus, I was really struggling with cravings like crazy. Like crazy cravings, and they got more and more frequent. And then I realized, like, maybe it's nutrition, maybe I'm not getting enough protein. And then that's where I started working with my fitness mentor now, Nikki Bra, and he's like, let's get you off the vegetarian thing. Oh, and then no, before I did that, I remember I was in Lapland with my girlfriend and her dad, and he just had this piece of reindeer meat, this like dried reindeer meat in his hand, and he was just cutting off slices with a knife, snacking that, And he's like, you want to try? And I'm like, oh, I'm vegetarian. But actually, hold on a second. Let me Google the macros. And then I Googled reindeer meat macros. And I'm like, wait a minute. This is just pure protein and fat. It's like super low in calories. And as a vegetarian, only thing I knew to get lean protein was fat-free cottage cheese, protein powders, and stuff like that. And it's always a payoff with it. There's always carbs with it, stuff like that. And it always makes you feel bloated. And then I'm like, I just eat this piece of meat, and I got like a lot of fuck, meat is so easy to get protein from.
And plus, there's the bioavailability, isn't it? So like,
Exactly.
you don't even get the nutrients out of the
100%,
vegetables and stuff.
100%.
You have to like 4 times more vegetables,
Yeah.
or cheese to get the same protein
Yeah.
you would just from a piece of beef.
So I was like, okay, fuck. And then also what really changed was like, I had the money to just buy the best food ever. So I still really care about animals. I wouldn't, for example, buy stuff at the supermarket. Like, I don't buy my shitty meat from the supermarket. I go to the butcher.
Yeah.
Like, also here in Paphos, shout out to Shukru Meat Market. I go there. I'm like, hey, what's up, man? And he's like, yeah, this meat comes from this farmer. It's high quality stuff. Like, you have a whole different relationship to the meat.
Tastes so
you eat.
different as well, doesn't it? Like, even the chicken we get from the local farmer.
best
it's
shit
you
ever.
can have just plain chicken.
Yeah.
And it's like, this shit is so good.
Yeah.
You don't need
Best shit ever.
sauces or anything.
Yeah. And eggs and butter, all from the farmer. Best stuff ever.
Yeah.
And these animals have a really great life. Like, also, when you watch, like, animals in the wild, how they just get eaten alive.
Yeah.
Like, if I'm a cow and I just have a really nice life on a nice farm, not talking about like mass industry. I'm talking about like a nice local farmer. This cow has a super nice life, 0 natural predators, and then gets.
I think part of it, though, this is my personal view on it, is like, because people say about the ethical thing, and like, don't you feel bad about like killing that chicken? I was like, well, would the chicken feel bad if I died? You know, I think it's one of these things we've just in this modern generation, we've just forgotten. Like, animals, I believe, are just there for us to eat.
Yeah,
we've evolved through eating the animal fats, and like it's just nature. And I would say, because someone says, where do you draw the line, like between taking a life? What makes an animal life different to a human life? And I think for me, it's just, well, humans have like a metaphysical experience, and animals, as far as we know, don't. And maybe it's not the best argument, but I think that's just the defining difference with us of why they've evolved to that level.
Yeah.
If a cow was more conscious and started speaking English or something, then I wouldn't kill it. They're like, oh,
hey, Justin, what are you doing?
Can I kill it? I'm fucking rich. I've got a talking cow.
Yeah, that's funny. I mean, look, arguably these animals, like if a cow was in nature, this cow would die a horrible death. It would break his leg, and then it would be eaten alive by
guts ripped out,
ass first, because usually apparently that's how they get eaten, like ass first, because it's like the tastiest part of the thing. They would just get eaten by a pack of wolves.
Yeah.
And if you go to Instagram, there's a great page, Nature is Metal. You go to Instagram and you watch those videos. There's this Nature is Metal on Instagram, like metal, like heavy metal. Nature is Metal, and you go see like a zebra just torn apart in 30 seconds, eaten alive by like prairie dogs in Africa. You're like, okay, that's how they would die. So with us, they at least die in a humane way. So yeah. Whew. Justin, my man, I think we're gonna wrap things up here, dude.
All right, yeah, it's been good.
Dude, how can people find you? So we're going to put your Instagram at the bottom, Justin Devonshire, websites, anything else we can plug?
No way, just go on Instagram. If anyone wants to say hey, just reach out to me.
Please do so. Justin's is the top G. He's the Count of Cyprus.
Count.
I call him the Count of Cyprus.
I live on my little hill in a little castle.
Exactly. You throw in all
like
the
some
parties.
Romanian shit.
Dude, it's a pleasure to have you on. Thank you so much, man. Guys, check him out. And what a conversation that was. If you got inspired to become an online coach, consultant, service provider, and you're wondering the first steps, how you can do that, what could you offer, how can you get your first couple clients, how can you make your first 3, 4, 5K a month, or even scale to 10, 20K a month, I got a really cool thing for you, and that is if you head over to maxtornow.com/call, you can book a free call with me and my team. You can ask us questions on how to get started, what industry you should pop into, which one of your skills should be the best to monetize. We can help you lay out an entire strategy from zero to your first 10, 20, 50, 100K a month. And also, if you already are doing digital consulting, coaching, or service providing, and you want to scale, you want to automate, you want to grow, you want to build a brand, you want to become a household name, then also maxtornow.com/call. Book your call there with us. We can help you. We've helped clients all the way from zero to their first couple thousand, all the way to $500,000 a month. So if you're anywhere within this field, we can probably help you. maxtornow.com/call. Thank you so much for listening, for watching. I appreciate the hell out of you. And have a good day. GG.